How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and I am not alone today because we are talking about books that we are currently reading, and we are opening this up to a Q&A in a little bit. But before we go any further, I'm going to let my panel introduce themselves. So to my left is none other than...
Hello, guys. I'm Dom of X, comicreleases.com assistant editor and partner in crime here on Near Mint Condition. I am going to be staking out tomorrow morning to get a Switch 2. That is the big update with me.
We're doing this live. We are staying on until midnight.
No! I need a Switch 2!
Meltdown happen live, whether it's me or you melting down, and Jess and Lars will have no idea what the hell we're doing. But yes, I'm in for that Switch 2 line as well.
Anyways, happy to be here.
Oh, you're
good. And Lars, Maddie, do you want to come on, Maddie? Because I was going to ask you, but I didn't know if you were jet lagged or not from Japan. Lars, introduce yourself.
Lars Pearson, publisher and editor-in-chief of Norweigian Mad Pres, formerly of Wizard Magazine. And I want all of you to know that this very innocent show we have here tonight, of course, induced some sort of psychological crisis, because I have routinely. But this one was because the simple question was asked, well, what are you reading? And I realized, I was like, my God, what am I reading?
What are you? Right.
I realized I really wasn't keeping track, and I had to sit down and make a list in preparation for this discussion here, and I underwent some sort of mental paroxysm. And I remember back in the day when Roger and Ebert, the famous film critics, were getting famous. They were about to go on like Carson, their first big show. All right,
Carson Daly.
They were going to go on the Tonight Show, and before the show, the assistant asked, like, "Now, boys, Johnny may ask you what movies you've liked lately," and they were like, "Okay." And then they realized that a fit. There was, "My God, we don't know, because it was such a simple question, but they not thought about it. And then they had to call their assistant and go, "What films do we like lately?" So I am here in a state of psychological distress by the question of what am I reading.
That was the longest intro. Poor Jeff.
Wow. Is there time left in me?
Yes, Omni Dog, take your mask off. Introduce yourself.
I am Omni Dog from Omni Dog's Vault, and I am happy to be here. Thank you so much. And to my new best friend, Sean, let me just say, hit him with the hind!
And a Baba Booey to you all.
Baba Booey to you. Baba
Thank
Booey
you.
to y'all.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Sean from the Comics Pals. I'm really excited to be here to talk weekly comics. I do that every Thursday on my channel at 6 p.m. Eastern. But today I'm happy to be joined by some of my good friends in the comics YouTube space to have a little chit-chat.
Yes, a chit-chat.
Sean, will you be tickling the ivory keys to amuse everyone?
We can do that. I can play the piano in the background, but Omar's going to have to set the goal. The super chat goal. If we hit that super chat goal, I will walk back there and I will play.
Okay. Don't make promises you can't keep, Sean. I know a thing or two about green screens, my friend. None of this is real. Okay. Today, by the way, if you voted for the Marvel Omni reprint poll, that poll is closed officially, and I officially have the list of books that you all voted for. We actually have the top 25 and the entire catalog. I will be making a video, and that will be going live on Friday to let you know what the top 20 are. I'll be sending that over to David and Marvel, and then we can start off the official Marvel Omni Most Wanted, not reprint. Marvel Most Wanted Omnis. If you want to know the last three books that made it in the bottom of the poll this year were Marvel Universe by John Byrne, Volume 1, Marvel Universe by Rob Liefeld, Omni, and Morbius, the Living Vampire Omni. That means Marvel Now Omnibus actually beat all three of those books out.
And Ultimate Marvel Omni.
Marvel Now beat it. So really quick, we have I'm sure, amazing super chat from Harvey Picar's Ghost, Pleasure Beach by Josh Pettinger. Best comic of the year so far. Discuss. Anybody read that?
He won't let me read it. He said it's honestly too much for me.
Is he your mom? Is he?
Yeah. What is
He's my comic mom. Yeah, he knows.
what is too much for you?
Well, he has sent me. Harvey has sent me some of the stuff he reads, and I have found a lot of it good. It's like independent stuff. But he apparently this goes too far. Kind of like the green room conversation we had earlier before we went live, and Lars was responsible for poor Dom just twisting in the wind. Oh, you're sending it to me now?
It's too much for him. I'm definitely sending it his way. Awesome.
You jerk, you told me not to read it.
Speaking of which, I see that someone in the feed mentioned that Dom is trying to turn this into a gun show.
Yeah.
And
I have a Jeff.
I
would make
would,
it a Jeff show.
I would agree. You are showing off your mighty guns there.
We've got matching Jeffs.
Lars, it's time to rip off your suit, buddy.
Let's see it, Lars. Let's see the guns.
Where did you all get these Jeff the Landshark's little stuffies?
My comic shop apparently set one aside for me. Like, I got a call from my comic shop owner. He was like, "Hey Dom, we got something for you at the shop." And lo and behold, they had like this cute little Jeffy, like right in my comic box. And I said, "I want to pay for 2 of these, but they only let me pay paid once." So I have him now, and he is the cutest thing in the world. I wish they would make a 30-inch one of him.
A 31-inch. All right. And from Harvey P. Cards Goes, Sean, hit us with some of This Is Beetle things.
If we hit the super chat goal, I will go back there and I will play This Is Beetle on the keys.
Omar didn't get the memo. Omar didn't get the hell out of the house. Like, I don't think I've gotten out of the house this week.
I would love to hear Sean just
Wait a minute.
saying This Is Beetle.
Where did Jess get the freaking Jeff the Landshark? He never leaves the house either.
No, I got this sent in the mail. I did have to leave the house to. Oh no, it was delivered right to my doorstep. I didn't even have to go to the mailbox. Yeah, Dom sent me an extra one from a comic shop.
The shark is the big right now because of Marvel Rivals. Absolutely, it's huge. The goal, you can't afford the goal, man. You can't.
Ooh, okay, this is a challenge.
It's that kind of challenge. Are they going to reprint Punisher Epics? I don't know. They have the list. Whatever they want to do with the list is up to them. And that's how it works. That's the way it's always worked. In the past, they have reprinted Punisher Epics. How many Punisher Epics made it this time around in the top 20? Was it 2 or 3? Hey, Edwin, how are you doing?
Oh, did you? It wasn't just Omnis. There were Epics also in that.
No, I do that separate. So we do.
Oh, separate. Okay.
Yeah, we kick it off with the Epics, and then we do the Marvel Omni reprints, and then we do Most Wanted Marvel Omnis, which we're kicking that off on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay. And then we do Most Wanted DC Omnis and Absolute reprints, and then Most Wanted DC Omnis. That has never existed. So it's a busy time of the year, but it's a lot of fun.
Two Punisher Epics made the top 20, by the way.
Cool. This year. Yeah. So in the past they have. What is the super chat goal? It's $5 million. I like that. Right. Lars Pearson, Doctor Who question. Are we ever going to get a volume 3 of the Running Through the Corridors?
Yes, I answered that in the feed. So we do these books called Running Through Corridors. They are co-written by Rob Shearman, who has written for the new series. He wrote the Dalek episode of Christopher Eccleston's year, and he's written other stuff. He's really great. And then Toby Haydock, who does a lot of the Blu-ray stuff. And we did the first 2 books, and I would love to do the third one, but it's up to Rob and Toby. You know, I can only badger them so often.
Rob and Toby, if you're watching this right now.
Yes, there is need. Yeah. Cruel Angel, I hope you're asking because you enjoy this series. I love it myself. It's up to Rob and Toby. Yeah.
I don't even want to say what Inhumans made it last year, too. I don't think it even cracked. Well, it might have been actually in the top 60. Maybe. I didn't think it cracked the top 100, honestly.
I don't remember when we made the slideshow last year. I don't remember putting an Inhuman thing on there. So,
I do have a Vatican contact. Harvey P. Cars goes. Does Omar have a Vatican contact? I'm voting.
Yes. Do you want to be Pope? Do you look good in white?
I do look good in white.
Okay, all right.
I look better in black, but I'll take white. Sure.
You can be-
I like
you
the
can-
hat.
Justin
be a
Black,
cardinal.
JIB.
Do I kind of have to be Catholic though for that? I think.
I was.
It
I'm
probably
trying-
helps.
I'm trying to. So one of my best friends is a Catholic priest, and we've been friends since the 3rd grade. And he was telling me about this. There's a certain group of. They're not bishops. They're not the Knights of Columbus. It's a certain group of Catholics that are only
Where are we
allowed
going?
to ride in. Like they're the only ones that are allowed to ride a horse into the Vatican in case like. A battle is about to take place, and I was like, I went in that circle. That's the Catholic that I want to be. That's cool.
Wait,
I was
ride
ready
a
for-
horse into the
apparently-
Vatican.
Yeah, apparently Antonio Banderas is one of those dudes.
Well, I was raised in a horse farm. I would make an excellent horse rider into the.
No, you're
Vatican.
not allowed.
No,
Lars.
I was raised Lutheran. That's a problem.
First order of business, not letting you into the Vatican.
I've been to the Vatican. In fact, I've been to the Sistine Chapel.
Oh,
So,
man, my buddy Frank has not always been a priest. Let's just say
Oh my god.
we used to do some crazy crap. It's funny how we've all turned like different. I mean, oh my god, the story. Maybe I'll save it for the AMA one day. But I have to get his approval to tell stories. There's probably a pic of Omni Dog from the late 70s in which he wears all white and maybe
Oh, yeah.
jeans.
Yeah.
What's
Is
the
Dom
super chat goal to
contracted
see that?
to appear without sleeves? If so, hats off to the legal team.
Mhm.
Yes. Are you watching the? He better not be watching the Celtics game.
I promise you, I'm not watching the Celtics game right now. I mean, I love Paolo Banchero, but I'm not watching a basketball game right now.
What is this we stuff, Harvey?
Who is?
I don't think that's the way it works. Then we need the most wanted new Marvel Omnis. Oh, so we can get the Inhumans. Omar, thoughts on Rob Liefeld saying David Gabriel needs to be fired?
Yeah. I mean,
What do you want me to say, Adam? Rob.
Rob
I
has
can-
a lot
like,
of.
I can understand him being jaded, and you know it's interesting if you've been following him, like, and he has every right to be angry. I understand, but when it was
Does
when
he?
look, I'm not gonna get canceled by Rob Liefeld. If everything is going his way, man, it's like, yeah, you guys can make fun of me and my, Rob Liefeld's feet. Haha. Deadpool's hilarious. But man, once he doesn't get invited to that after party, it's like,
Oh boy.
I'm done. I'm out.
Well, yeah.
Screw you guys and everything I created for you all. So, he is entitled to, he entitled to whatever he wants to. If that's the way that he thinks things are going to be fixed, he actually works in the industry. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm reminded that Rob has thoughts, and also that criticism from the outside is sometimes really easy.
What was his? I don't want to.
So he has a
shouldn't say that.
podcast. Well, the reason I found out is somebody emailed me that, and I was like, "What?" And then, of course, I went down the rabbit hole of like, oh, it's like a podcast he made about, how to fix the X titles, like the X titles, how they're not selling as well, they're not as good as they used to be.
How Rob, who has not worked on them in ages, thinks they should be fixed. Okay.
Well, he did do like Major X, and he did do the Deadpool book.
Yeah,
Deadpool team up, and those books sold. It's just how he thinks things should be fixed. So again, those are his thoughts, and he's more than entitled to them. And people love his podcast, so more power to him. And he's also releasing the new Youngblood, I think, with a different writer, something like that.
Yep.
So
quite possibly. Yeah.
That just started up, yeah.
yeah, so good timing to go on a rant.
New writer.
Exactly.
Maybe it'll be good.
I love Lifefield's artwork, so I don't have a problem, with his art. I know a lot of people do. So, all right. Dom, why don't you lead? You've been pretty quiet. What
All
have
right.
you been reading, buddy?
What have I been reading? I had to check this title out because these two creators I've liked a lot in the last couple of years. One of them was on an Iron Man run I really liked. One of them has been doing Harrow County. And when I heard that they were doing a title based on an area that I associate myself with and live in, I had to check it out. It is out of Alcatraz. It is a serialized form, if you may, of the dramatization of the two prisoners who escaped the prison back in the 1960s. It's haunting. It's horrifying. There are moments in it where, like, I'm used to reading a lot of superhero titles, so this still happens to me where, like, I'll read a book and I see profanity and have to tell myself, like, okay, like, I need to remember that I'm reading, a creator-owned title and not anything of the sort. But it's super clear, at least to me, that Tyler Crook did a lot of research on the Bay Area in the 1960s. And I think Cantwell does a pretty fantastic job of nailing down the tone of the indie and the setting. And it's something that I expect out from the both of them. And it has been a super fun and engaging read thus far. Something that I never thought that I would, because I'm really, really particular with the indie titles that I do read just because I don't have money and time. But this one definitely stood out because I trusted the creative team and I trusted the setting that they were in. So I'm happy as a Bay Area native, and I'm very happy that, I'm reading the book.
Who's the publisher?
Omni Press.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I read that book too, and I just want to co-sign what Dom said. It is excellent. That first issue knocked me on my ass. I was blown away.
I like the creative team a lot. All right. Sean, what about you, buddy? Why don't you take it from here? What did you read recently?
Oh boy, well, I have a problem. I'm reading way too many monthly comics, and so okay. I could go on and on. I mean, I'll shout out just a couple for now. Batman Dark Patterns. This book to me is incredible. It's Hayden Sherman on the art, Dan Waters on the words, and the first arc is cool. It's got this villain who basically is immune to pain, and he's got all these like needles in him and stuff like that, and Batman has to kind of figure out what's going on with that. It's more of a vibes book than a plot book, but the artwork by Hayden Sherman is phenomenal all throughout, doing things visually that I've never seen before. Just the way that they cut the page into shapes and angles and stuff like that is really incredible. And then the arc that they're on now, because it's 3-issue arcs, it's 4 3-issue arcs, so we'll get 12 issues total. The arc they're on now, I don't want to spoil what's happening because it's really genius, but it involves Scarface. And if you've ever seen the movie like The Raid or anything like that, it somehow involves Scarface, and it includes that kind of situation. So it's a Batman you're not used to, kind of has a more old school Silver Agey feel to him, and it's just incredible Hayden Sherman artwork. Highly recommend.
Wait, is it a month? It's a monthly book?
It's a monthly title, yeah.
Yeah, it's a monthly.
How is Hayden doing that? And
Absolute Wonder Woman. They are amazing. It's funny because Hayden, when Dan Waters approached Hayden about doing this project, Dan wanted to do every single arc with a different artist. Hayden said, I want to draw every single one of the 12 issues. And Dan said, if you want to do it, hats off to you. And what they have done with the titles, not only with the brand new character in the first 3 issues, like Sean said, but also the established Gotham villains, or the villains that we've already known about in Gotham, at least for publication history, what they're doing in the next 3 issues, issues 4 through 6, is absolutely spectacular. Like, I've never been more enthralled, I think, with a detective story, at least for Batman, in quite some time. But it is completely phenomenal. It's artist, like it's art at like a higher level. Like, I can't even explain it. It is that good.
Is it a monthly limited series? Is it 12 issues?
It's a 12-issue limited series. And to answer the question as to how this is possible, Hayden told me in an interview that I conducted with them at New York Comic Con, and I think they've shared this in other places, that they were working on this book for a year prior. So it's all been in the can. Hayden had been working on it, and that's how we're getting 3 different Hayden Sherman books on the stands at once. That, Absolute Wonder Woman, and Into the Unbeing.
Oh, that book is crazy.
Yeah.
That's the Dark Horse book, right?
I believe it is, yeah.
Yeah, man, that book is awesome. Creepy as hell. I love it.
Hey, Maddie.
Hey, there's Maddie.
Welcome.
Welcome back from the land of the rising sun, Maddie. How you doing?
We can't hear you, unfortunately.
Yeah, we can't hear you. You're so close. So close.
So close.
So close, Maddie.
Hi. I'm just here
There
to say
you-
I'm sick and I'm jet lagged, but I just want to say I love you all. You have a good show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You went to Nintendo World.
I
see
love it.
And
Those
you're
look
muted.
great.
You're muted again. You're muted.
No,
again.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. I can't hear you.
Anyways,
Badass 6 out of 10 detective and dark patterns.
have
Be
a
good. I'll
show.
see you this weekend.
Yeah, bye.
Good to see you, Maddie.
Bye, Maddie.
All right, Lars. What do you got? What do you
Yeah.
got, Lars? Show them that classic stuff. Show them that Silver Age, Lars. What are you reading?
Well, I thought we were supposed to focus on current stuff.
I don't care. Dude, I read collected editions. You can bring them whatever. What'd you bring?
Okay, you know what? Well, okay, no. Where to begin? I have so many choices here. Okay, well, actually, since you mentioned classic stuff, okay, this is going back a bit, but Peter David's been in my thoughts lately because, of course, Peter's been struggling and people have been donating very kindly to his GoFundMe, and Peter's a great favorite of mine. And I was realizing that there was one series of his that I'd never really finished. And so I went online and I got a whole stack of Fallen Angel, which
Supergirl.
is well, sort of. I mean, yeah, it starts out sort of Supergirly, and then because he was with DC, and then he goes to IDW, and I realized I never finished the IDW run. And it's just, thank you, James. Yeah. And it's just a knockout. It's an absolute knockout from Peter David. And the art by, James Woodward is really good too. It's kind of a dark, seedy story in this city called Bete Noire, which is kind of alive in a way and kind of not. And there's indeed a fallen angel who holds court in this bar, and it gets very intimate and personal. I wish to spoil the details, but she's actually had a son with the villain, basically, and then the son, shows back up as an adult, wondering about his parentage and stuff, and hilarity ensues. It's a dark, meaningful tale, and Peter keeps it from being too seedy. The characters aren't too disgraceful. So yeah, that's my big retro read right now, and it's cheap. It's out of print, but it's cheap. So
Okay, the single issues are cheap. The trade paperbacks are near impossible to find.
Well, fair enough, but I have a little bit fallen back in not fallen back in love, but with singles, because I gave up singles about 2004. And then I realized that there's just times and places that they're just too handy, because I bought like an entire set of Fallen Angel for like $20, basically.
Single issues. And they even had IDW released them in Omni format, but they were the IDW Omnis, the digest size trades.
I know, and like I hate to be a snob, but like those slightly reduced Omnis, I just don't care for them.
Do you really hate to be a snob?
Well, I'm fighting against myself here, but no, I don't like them slightly shrunken. So Ghost is a series from Dark Horse. They're putting out a new collection of that in the fall. It's like, because I have the shrunken ones, and I'm like,
they're putting out a compendium of that.
Yeah, I might be good to go to the full-sized ones. So that's my huge blast of the past that I'm reading right now is Fallen Angel. But it's
Omnibo, what's up, buddy? Well, I'm glad that you're liking it. So you haven't finished reading it yet?
No, I had read quite a lot back in the day, and I realized I never finished that stupid thing. I should do it now.
And it's such a great read.
It's really good.
I interviewed Peter David many years ago on a podcast, and then I interviewed him for my channel probably about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's not, you know, depending on the type of day that you would catch him, sometimes he can be in a good mood, sometimes he's in a bad mood. And he was cold and he was hungry, and I was like, oh man, he's in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And I won him over when I said I mentioned Fallen Angel, because, you know, I'm sure people, these creators go through a lot of interviews, and they're like, oh god, here comes another outlet interviewing me. Okay, let's do it. And, you know, you start sharing the same story over and over. But the minute I mentioned Fallen Angel, he opened, like, his body language changed.
Yeah. Like,
he opened up and he was like, oh, this guy's actually read my stuff.
Yeah, these passion projects. Well, frankly, he writes this book series, Sir Apropos of Nothing. Superb. Absolutely superb. And that was Peter. You know, he was a sci-fi writer and he wanted to write fantasy. And the way he tells it is that the publishers wouldn't let him write fantasy. They're like, well, you're a sci-fi writer. He's like, well, I know I'm a sci-fi writer, but I can write other things too. I'm like, no, you're a sci-fi. He kind of got pigeonholed as a sci-fi writer for years. And so he wrote his fantasy book. Like he said, he wrote like a few pages every day in amidst everything else he was doing. So it was almost like he had something to prove. And boy, howdy, it is outstanding.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah, everyone check that one out too, because it's really great.
I'm gonna segue into the first thing I'm rereading here. Anything I should know before I get the first thick trade for the 90s JLA series? I saw Superman Blue on the cover. Also, I plan on getting the other thick trades for Justice League International. So these collections are really, really cool. This is the JLA collections they've been coming out with. And is my camera not mirrored? Why isn't it mirrored?
It's not mirrored?
It's just that on your regular, like, the people can see you in the regular way, but like you yourself, like, it's mirrored. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dom. So this is collecting JLA 10 to 23, and then annual number 2, the Secret File 6. To answer your question, if you need to read anything beforehand, no, not at all. Like, it's confusing at first because it is a blue Superman, and he had to abide by what was the Superman at that time at DC Comics. But when Morrison starts writing the stories, they take a life of their own. This is the most simple Morrison comics there are. This or Klaus, actually. Although Morrison did write an angel into the story, but that's okay. It kind of makes sense. But the way that DC is collecting these, it's Morrison and Mark Waid writing these stories.
And Mark Millar. Because Mark Millar's issues that are...
Oh, yeah, he did the Adam Strange stuff, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Waid did the Adam Strange stuff. Quietly had like a couple of one-shots in the run that's collected in the first volume.
Yeah, so they're mapped different than the Omni. The Omni just has Grant Morrison stuff. These actually have everyone else's stuff in chronological order. So in a way, this might be the best way to get them without waiting for the DC Finest, because I mean, these are practically DC Finest books in the way that they're mapped. But that's what I'm rereading. Jess, what about you? What are you reading?
Excuse me. I am about halfway through Batman by Tiny Onion.
I know.
Oh, wow.
Jorge and Gilla March.
Yeah, the art is fantastic, and all the way through, I'm struggling to figure out why people busted on this so much. Maybe
Punchline.
I don't.
I just remember people hating Punchline.
I don't
love Punchline.
I liked her fine, and I'm not a big Joker fan, but I thought, I'm as burnt out on Joker as everybody else. Punchline. Okay, fine. Well, you'll have to deal with Punchline, and she's good and psychotic. But I found I read all of Joker War, and so I'm right at the beginning of the Ghostmaker part where I'll stop for a bit. I thought the plot was good. The plot line, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed I enjoyed Tiny Onion's writing. The only thing I will say is that there are some things that happen in the book that get resolved like off off page, and they happen in this one, Joker War Saga.
Yes. That's my one.
And Nightwing Joker War and Batgirl Joker War.
Because when they solicited that, they were supposed to be included in that Omni.
Right.
And it would make for a better reading experience. So that was the only negative thing. I actually had fun with that one too, Jess.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this, but like Harley Quinn's throat gets cut, and all of a sudden she comes back and she's okay. Well, you find out why in this, in Harley 75. And then there's some like Nightwing goes from Rick Grayson to Dickie Boy because Joker gets in his head, and that's in some of this, but it's in a lot of this. So I mean, I didn't mind having to read all of this to get the full story. I think you're fine reading just this if you just are willing to say, like I do with X-Men, okay, that happened, and be fine with it and just keep moving. I've enjoyed this a lot, and I will be recommending it once I finish it.
One really good thing I can say about that run, because I wasn't as hot on it, but Tynion put a lot of effort into introducing new characters into Batman's world, and that I really liked. Granted, we don't see them all the time, but like Punchline is big, Ghostmaker is really cool. There were some cool characters in there.
Clown Hunter. Yeah, there were some new characters that were interesting, and I liked them. And I think in the next book, next Omni, I'll hit it in the standard hardcovers, is Miracle Molly. I have no idea what she's going to be up to, but I know she's a new character that gets introduced too. So I'm digging this Batman.
There's a little bit of truth to this. I think with the issue with Tynion's run is it felt like editorial told him to introduce new characters to sell variants rather than let him do it organically. I just think like going back to that era when Tynion was writing Batman, there was a lot of like speculators online that kept like pushing for these first appearances, like the characters that you just mentioned, like Miracle Molly and Punchline, Ghostmaker. And I was like, man, really? They're going to be worth a lot of. I don't know how much the value of those books are now, but I just remember that was a big push, or probably variants. Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed all the characters and how they were worked. I really dug Catwoman's part in the overall book without giving anything away. I thought it was real and kind of raw and done in a really cool fashion. So yeah, I dug it.
If I remember like anything super big about like me reading that in singles, yes. I mean, I remember reading that first arc with the designer coming to the end of it, like, I want my Joker War. And it felt weird saying that because like Joker's not my most favorite Batman villain. But I just remember being strapped in. I was like, all right, if we're gonna be pulling these strings and punches, I want to see what you do next and how that all came out to be. I just remember enjoying it like as a 19-year-old kid, which is crazy for me to say. But yeah, that was super big for me at the time. Yeah,
and there's also a plot line that I think gets picked up again in the latter half of Queen Ivy. She was the Queen Ivy thing was just sort of introduced here. And I know the Poison Ivy series by G. Willow Wilson references it as she's coming off of it, but I haven't seen the designer yet or what happens to Queen Ivy, so I know I have that to look forward to.
Dom, what else have you been reading, buddy?
Or the Garden, whatever she's called.
This is going to be a weird left field turn for me, but I saw this cover at my shop and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should try it out just for the sakes of it. Even though a lot of my friends have told me, Dom, this goes against everything that you say you do and buy. I picked up a copy of the new Rogue the Savage Land miniseries. I've been reading that over at Marvel just because I'm like, you know what? I've read the Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee stories of the Savage Land popping in. Might as well figure out to see what's going on in here. And I've read a lot of Tim Seeley before, and I think this is kind of, I don't know, his wheelhouse, if you want to call it that. I was actually like a lot less. I mean, the story is it's there, it exists. I was more so surprised at the villain who pops up at the end of issue 1 because, it's a pull that I never would have anticipated in a rogue Savage Land book, I guess, especially nowadays. But I don't know. I was swindled into it. I feel bad wasting like $5.30 on it, but
Is it a retro series?
It's a retro series.
So it takes place while she was in the Savage Land, before Super Sexy Magneto.
Yeah, I mean Magneto's even in it too. So.
Oh, okay.
Super weird, but I guess I had to experience something like that for the first time in my life.
All right, let's go one by one. What's your favorite Superman Omni so far? They haven't released that many, so it's not like we have a lot to choose from, unless you're gonna pick one from the Golden Age.
The Warworld saga has an Omni, right?
It's coming out on the 29th of July.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that would be my favorite.
All right.
choice.
You really like that. That was good, man. I couldn't put the compendium down. I'm with you. That was a solid.
Really-
It reminded me a lot of Superman Exile, which I love that story. Take Superman out of Earth, and it makes just for a fun storyline. What about you, Dom? Number 1. What's the best Superman Omni?
Can I pick the absolute?
No, he said Omni.
He said Omni. Gosh dang it!
Why would you pick the absolute?
I'll pick Triangle Years Omni 1. How about that?
Okay, there you go. Lars. Golden Age Volume 4.
How dare you? I'm not that old.
Well, Silver Age Volume 2.
No. I was taking class at Iowa State one time, and I'm surrounded by college students, and we were talking about things as you do, and one of them dared to intimate that I would be old enough to remember the advent of television. And I'm like, no, it said more about their stupidity than
The Idiot Lantern, right, Lars?
yeah. No. Is it wrong to say I don't really have one? I'm not a huge Superman reader. I'm just not. There's Superman stories I like. I really like All-Star Superman. I really like Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Christopher Priest's Superman recently was quite good.
Superman Lost. Yeah, I love that series too.
Lost. Yeah, Superman Lost was really good. But I don't own any Omnis, and I love Superman when he shows up in other stuff, but reading him in his own book, don't really do that.
Fredo's working on a translation to Williamson's Superman. That's awesome, brother.
I really like that Superman run, by the way.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, we're gonna have a Superman Evergreen, Lars. So I guess you're.
I can gladly do that.
You just said you're not a Superman.
I just rattled off all these Superman stories I like.
That's not an omnibus. Okay. Actually, I was gonna reach out to Joshua, see if he wanted to join us, because he loves watching our Evergreen streams. And I was like, and he wants to join, but he was like, but I got this contract with DC. I don't know how much I could say, but I'd love for him to join the Superman Evergreen stream. That would be fun. Jess, best Superman Omni.
I am partial to the Tomasi and Gleason run.
It's a good choice, man.
Yeah, Tomasi and Gleason. That was the Rebirth run, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that one. That was so great.
Guys, there's only one correct answer, and that is the Death and Return of Superman Omni that I have.
Don't you mean Triangle Era Omnis 2 and 3, Omar?
Also that, yes. I will be double dipping, triple dipping. I don't care. I'm going to get the Absolute Edition.
You're going to get that Absolute Gravestone Edition?
It's not even a good story, but for some reason, it's in my blood.
It calls to you. It's for you.
I have given away 3 copies of the Omnis already. 4 if you include the original printing I gave a friend of mine. But I'm just a sucker for that kind of event, man. They killed Superman and brought him back. What? But the correct answer is actually the Superman by Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. I agree with Jess. That is perfection. I love that book.
Bride doesn't count, but Greg Rucka's Lois Lane series later. really good.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
That was really
Also
good. And,
not in Omni format.
and the Jimmy Olsen by
Fraction.
By Fraction and Steve Leba.
Yeah, that was really
That
good.
was the last thing he wrote before he took a 5-year break.
Yeah.
And now he's back on Batman starting in September.
Yeah.
Apparently he's already got 10 scripts of issues done.
Good. Yeah.
You met Christopher Breeze at Lexington Comic Con. He is super friendly. Anytime you meet that guy, he is very approachable.
Yeah.
What about the upcoming Jurgens Omni? I really like the Action Comics that he was doing. That was a lot of fun. It'll be 2 Omnis. And obviously I like the 90s stuff. Is Death and Return the most wanted reprint? Oh, the most reprinted DC event. It's either that or Nightfall. It has to be one of those two.
You would think. Yeah.
If that, or it's just been printed in so. No, dude, it's got to be Death and Return.
Because they also did like 2 separate editions for the DC Universe Infinite Ultra subscriber people. Like they got like their own custom trade paperback specifically made for Ultra.
Nerds.
Yeah, I
Nerds.
sold
So jealous.
that. I sold that. I should have sent it to you, Omar.
You sold it. Fraction created and ran the Godzilla Monsterverse. Oh yeah, I know that he left for TV. I got to learn a lot at an after party about what happened to Fraction and Kelly Sue the Conic, and now they're both back. Or Fraction's back. So that's really cool. What are the chances of getting an Uncanny X-Men 4 reprint with a new spine with the artwork that matches the newer printing? I don't know. You'll have to wait till Friday to see what the top 20 are. Derek, how you doing, buddy? Speaking of reprints, thank you for helping with that list. Not an event, but Batman Court of Owls has basically never been out of print and had in every. Oh yeah, it's been in every format. But I want to think like
someone mentioned Crisis.
But
Someone mentioned Crisis on Infinite Earths, but I think Death and Return's probably been reprinted.
Well, Crisis has had trades and deluxe hardcovers and a box set and an absolute.
It has had a lot.
And DC Finest.
DC Death and Return has had trade paperbacks, box sets, absolute editions. Oh my god, so many different weird printings of the Omni. It's insane. Yeah. I want to say that might be the number one.
Yeah.
That was that everybody's answer. All right. Lars, what else are you reading?
We talked about this book before. But I think I'm still surprised that I'm reading. So you look for like the new weekly issues come out, and which one for you goes immediately to the top, right? The one they're like, oh, that's out. I'm going to read that. And weirdly, it is Moonnight by Jed McKay.
Ooh,
yeah,
it's out of print right now.
Yeah, and I am not a Moonnight reader. Mm-hmm. I have never really cared that much before, but boy howdy, Yeah, there we go. I mean, among other things, he takes Moon Knight very seriously. I think it's said in the comic, Moon Knight is a bullet, and you do not screw with Moon Knight. He seems to be like the lesser Avenger. You know, he's like the guy we're all gonna make fun of because he's really just a guy in a weird cape and he punches people. But you know, he is the fist of a god, and he is extraordinarily dangerous. Do not mess with him. And they've also done, McKay does a great job of fleshing out his ensemble. The supporting characters are really great. The Midnight Mission is really great. The artwork is stunning. And it's like, yeah, I worry sometimes it's not actually that deep on character, but just the pacing. You just have to keep reading, have to keep reading, have to keep reading, have to keep reading. It's the best of serialized comics because it's so addicting. And again, I haven't really gotten into old Moon Knight. I went back to some of the epics and read those. But unmissable. Absolutely unmissable.
Yeah, I'm with Lars. That book rocks hard.
I like how accessible it is to new readers. It's a great jumping on point because they take all the complexity that is Mark Spector, they kind of throw it out the window, and then then Jed McKay slowly starts bringing it into the book.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
We've got all these other things going on with Mark Spector. It's not everything that it seems to be, and then Mr. Knight gets involved. Oh yeah, I really enjoyed that book.
And it started, as you say, it is very accessible. There's characters in here that were kind of ported in. I could tell from the Mark Spector Moonnight run, which I didn't read too thoroughly, but it doesn't really matter. You're like, well, these are old friends of Moonnight. Sometimes a need to know continuity is really overrated. You know, it's like these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. Da 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 da. If they've appeared previously, it kind of it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, and even the Midnight Mission I think predates. That was from a Defenders comic or something like that. I don't recall where that was before. It doesn't matter, You figure it out very easily.
Sean, what else are you reading, buddy?
Okay, so I want to shout out a book that I feel like not a lot of people are really, really talking about right now.
That's a Return of Superman.
I think they've about covered that one.
Oh, okay.
Tin Can Society. This is actually a giant generator book.
Okay.
So that's Rick Remender's imprint at Image, and but it's not written by him. It's written by Peter Warren, who I've never heard of prior to this. And then on the art we have Francesco Mobley, who's super talented. Yeah. And so the book's premise is kind of like, what if Iron Man were a real guy, except that he built his suit because he was paralyzed and wanted to make legs and sort of the ability to get around. He's a genius. So he figures out this technology, creates a suit of armor for himself, and becomes a hero in this world. That's not the story. The story is that guy died. And his friends and trusted family are trying to figure out who would have had the means, motive, and opportunity to kill him, and who stole this suit. Because if you think about it, if Iron Man were the only hero in Marvel, and Tony was the only guy who had access to that suit, and someone killed him and took it, that'd be a big problem. And that's kind of what this story is dealing with. So it's part mystery, part exploration of this guy's history, and a lot of action. It is tremendous.
Who's the writer again?
That's Peter Warren.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with his work, but dang, I like that pitch, man. That sounds good.
Yeah.
It's
Sounds
very
Image
cool.
book.
Francesco Mobley has also come a long way because I'd only known him on the X-Men by Jonathan Hickman fill-ins for his run, and it's clear that his art has steadily improved. Not to say that I didn't like his, because I really liked his fill-ins then, but man, he's completely killing it out of the park on that book. So completely agreed with Sean.
Oh man, if anybody gets to play the character in the movie, it's gotta be Terrence Howard, baby. You all owe it to my man. Come on now.
The guy in Tin Can Society's black too, so that would be perfect.
Oh, dude.
That's literally perfect.
You're welcome, Hollywood. You're welcome. All right. Adorable Omni Dog. What else you got, buddy?
Today I read the second Birds of Prey by Kelly Thompson, Worlds Without End. And she's really, really doing a good job. She's got, in this one, Black Canary, Cassandra Cain, Big Barda, Sin, Meridian, Zealot, and Vixen are all in it. And they are, they've discovered, and Barbara Gordon's left behind to be Oracle. But they get pulled into these pocket universes again and again, and it's Black Canary knows something from Meridian, and they learn it later in the they learn later what it's about. So they go from universe to universe, and the art changes. It's kind of like Multiverse of Madness, where they go from universe to universe, and they eventually end up in this comic book, this cartoon universe where things get really violent, and Big Bart is really upset. She's like, "Oh, cartoons are the most violent," and there's killer bunnies in it, and they meet a new character in the Constantine's in it, and they meet a new character within the pocket universe, and it's her sister that's the big bad, trying to kill them all, and this other sister's running from universe to universe where it keeps changing. And Kelly Thompson really has a good voice for all of these women. It's really, really good. I've enjoyed the whole thing. Every character has agency. Every character has a big part to play. And then it talks about Sin and Magira, and I was like, I forget how Sin, and it also references the spirit world, because apparently Cassandra Cain was lost in the spirit world. So that led me down to reading Spirit World today, which is by Alyssa Wong. It's one of the all Asian titles that they put out, where it's I didn't even pick up on the fact, but it's until I looked at this, it's everybody involved, letters, art, writing, colorists, everything is Asian, and it's a hard book for me to describe, but I enjoyed the heck out of it. Let me think how to pronounce her name. Zhenju, what's her name? Batgirl gets yanked into this. She lives between worlds, the living and the dead world, and she can walk between them. And Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, gets yanked into the world of the dead, and it's up to Zhen Zhao. I know I'm not saying it right, and I'm sure that sounds Xanthe. There it is, Xanthe. She can create out of paper. She can snap her fingers, and if it's like a paper sword she's got, it becomes a sword. And she walks between worlds, and Constantine's involved again, where they try to go rescue Batgirl, and they have amazing, interesting adventures. I think I don't think I've read anything by Alyssa Wong, and I really enjoyed this. This draws heavily, obviously, on Asian religion and reincarnation, and making sure you honor the dead. And it involves a lot of gods and stuff in the spirit world. And I thought this was really good. I know there's two others that I need to read from this We Are Legends series. But then I forgot who Sin and Magira were, so I had to go back and read the whole first Birds of Prey today. And that, of course, is fantastic. I just loved every bit of this thing. Kelly Thompson, just both these Birds of Prey were great. And Booster Green's been after me for 2 years now to read Spirit World and the other We Are Legends titles, and I'm sold on Spirit World too. I want to read the other We Are Legends titles now.
I think you're gonna enjoy Vigil and City Boy a lot. If that was your experience with Spirit World, I mean, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Romby's Vigil and Greg Pak's City Boy. Like, they're just as excellent, I think, as Spirit World.
Spirit World was pretty complex. There was an awful lot going on at one time, so it did have to be read pretty carefully. I will say that it's not a book you can burn right through, because there's a lot of complex things going on in it, but I really did enjoy it, and I'm glad to hear you say that, Dom. I'll make those my 2 reads tomorrow.
Woo! Awesome stuff to hear. Sean, what are you reading? My friend is Omar, I guess, is
yeah. You know what? I want to. Jess just talked about Kelly Thompson, and right now Kelly Thompson is doing awesome work on Absolute Wonder Woman. The new issue just came out today. I read it, and it was excellent. So good. And that's a book that Hayden Sherman is on as well. And again, their visuals in that book are excellent. The first arc of Absolute Wonder Woman, for me, started off really good, but then nothing kind of happened. Second arc, though, Matea De Luis jumps on artwork, which if you haven't seen his art before, you need to. It is incredible. A perfect fit for Wonder Woman. And so she goes to hell. She literally, at the end of the last arc, gets dragged into hell and meets Hades. And Hades in this world kind of has a vibe of like the Disney Hades a little bit, but with a sinister twist, which is a lot of fun. but the Mattia de Luis artwork, which is like larger than life. It's a perfect visual feast for Wonder Woman. And then she fights this chimera. She goes to hell and fights a fucking chimera. Like, what more do I have to tell you? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a beautiful story. Excellent artwork. Kelly Thompson is doing amazing work. And I think it's worth pointing out, pretty much all the Absolute series are bangers.
Have they mentioned anything about a crossover yet? Have any of these characters met yet?
So in the books, there hasn't been even the hint of a crossover, but Scott
good.
has. Yeah, well, Scott has talked about the fact that, you know, we can expect to see one, but there's nothing in the immediate horizon.
Okay. So
Is that where Wonder Woman is riding like this hell horse Pegasus?
Yeah.
She
Oh my
has that
gosh,
big
that
ass
looks so
sword.
good.
dude.
Big sword, baby.
I
Yes.
can't wait till that gets
Best sword
collected.
in comics.
all right.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Death and Return of Superman, the retro series.
No! Is that the 30th issue anniversary?
Yeah, well, this is the
30th year anniversary?
the 30th anniversary, and it's a retro series.
Yeah.
You can't get enough of Superman dying and coming back. This is
What happens in the Death and Return of Superman, Omar? Sell us on
Well, I
the
don't want
premise,
to spoil it for you. I won't spoil it for you, Lars.
please.
I'm not that type of dude. All right. Finally wrapping up this series, the Sheets trilogy.
Lights.
This is Lights. This is the finale because there was Sheets and Delicates and Lights, and now they're all available in hardcover format from Oni Press. And I love this series. I think we did an old reader, new reader on Sheets 4 or 5 years ago. And now it's coming to an end, and I'm going to see. It's sad to see these characters go. Have any of you read? This is the first time I've read this stuff. The Adventure Time comics.
Ooh, Adventure Time, yes!
Okay, so I've seen like maybe 7 episodes of the show, and they were okay.
You need to watch more, Omar. You need to watch more.
Everybody says that. I understand. I'm sure these are wonderful. This is all done by Ryan North,
Mm-hmm.
who is killing it on the
okay.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was worried about this because I wasn't the biggest fan of Squirrel Girl. Ryan North's humor in Squirrel Girl. I know.
How dare you?
Okay, first of all, how dare I? Really? How dare I have an opinion? I think I know a lot of people know that. I know that Jess also wasn't a fan of it.
I quite enjoyed it.
But I definitely love Fantastic Four by Ryan North.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite Fantastic Four ever.
This series
High praise.
finds that really good balance. Like, I've never read these issues before until they came out, and I had to do an overview, and I fell in love with the first one. And I was like, oh. And instead of watching the show, like Dom suggested, I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and start reading volume 2.
He's killing my childhood, right? Adventure Time was one of the shows that I grew up with.
Okay.
When Cartoon Network got back on their Renaissance train with Steven Universe, Adventure Time, regular show, Gumball, I watched those
I
shows.
watch football with my kids. I do like that.
Okay, okay, I can accept that. You're watching one of my shows.
Yeah, so if you all haven't read it, it's a lot of fun. It's got I found it really endearing and charming and funny, which I guess is what Adventure Time is to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
And if you like, quickly, if you like more Ryan North, don't forget his Choose Your Own Adventure Shakespeare books, including To Be or Not to Be and Romeo and or Juliet.
I like
I
that.
can never tell when you're telling the truth and when
Those
you're
are real
mocking.
things. Those are real books, and you should read
I
them.
can tell.
They
He has
are
a snooty-
fantastic.
he's got a snooty tone to his.
Wait, I have a snooty tone. I'm telling the truth.
Yes,
Ah,
let me tell you. I love it though, Lars. I love that. Volume 17. We got one more to go to wrap up the series, but this is TMNT, and that is the Rat King. This incarnation of the Rat King from IDW. But before Volume 18 comes out, which wraps up the run before the relaunch by Jason Aaron, the Jason Aaron hardcover is dropping first because it's only collecting like I think the first 6.
The first 6 issues, yeah.
Which is really, It's a weird call, but a lot of companies are doing that. And it's something that I've noticed in collected editions. We're getting deluxe editions of 6 issues. We've got Ghost Machine doing it. We've got Mad Cave that is going to start doing it at the end of the year with a lot of the series. Like I think they're doing Dick Tracy. They're doing Gotcha Man. And there's another series that they're doing that they came out in trade paperback and now they're doing in hardcover, in deluxe hardcover. So that was a pretty... It's pretty crazy that companies are doing that because I'm so used to oversized hardcovers being like at least 12 issues, 10 issues. Yeah. So, and then some manga that I know that you all don't read, but continuing the Soul Eater with Soul Eater. Not. And Parasite Color.
Parasite!
Dude, I love this stuff.
Dude, my friend loves that book.
This is the final one. This is the final volume. I can't flip too much through here. Do you know the premise of this one, Dom? Do you know what it's about? Your friend likes it?
My friend loves it, and I will read it at some point in my life. I don't know when, but he swears by it. He's told me I've got all the hardcovers. You want to read it? Just let me know. So
it's about an alien parasite that takes over this young man's right hand, and both of them kind of like Venom, right? Like they become they have a friendship because of this symbiosis. But then there's evil versions of these aliens that are coming down and taking over people's different body parts and like animals, and it's really cool and graphic as hell and dark, like darker than I thought it was ever going to be. It's an old series, but they reprinted them in color, so it's really cool to go back and reread them. These were originally released here by Tokyo Pop, and then Kodansha got the rights back, and now they're reprinting them in a hardcover color format. So I'm a big fan of that, and that one wraps it up. Yes, fans of Parasite. All right, I like to hear that. And I'll be honest with you, Warren, this Soul Eater is not that good. It's actually called Soul Eater Not. It's the follow-up to Soul Eater. But it's okay, just because I like Soul Eater.
That makes sense that he likes it and you don't, because he doesn't like Parasite either.
Warren is my...
He's the antimatter of all of us. The antimatter of all of us.
Don, what else are you reading, buddy?
Arjun actually asked me, or asked people in the chat if anybody here was reading Justice League Unlimited, and since I
the
had
Mark
the
Waid
chance,
one?
Yeah, since I had the opportunity to talk to Mark about the premise and what he's learned over the course of 25 years from doing the original JLA or taking it over from Grant and then now onto a new book, I was curious as to what are the vibes that we're going to be getting from this brand new Justice League team that got, if I can say it, spoilers, it got disbanded right before the pages of Dark Crisis and Infinite Earths. Dan Mora, I think, might be doing some of his like greatest art in this book, like the wildness of his panels, and it's the same art team as Batman, Superman, World's Finest, and the freedom that Waid just gives him to draw whatever characters are popping up. I think Waid said that like 800 characters were going to be in this book. It's insane to talk about the wide scope of literally, if you want to talk about every single DC character that you can think of, they probably might, they have an opportunity to pop up in this book. But more overall, I think what I'm just fascinated by is that not only does I think Waid love, it's obvious that he loves the Golden Age and the Silver Age, but in issue 3, he actually does push in some, not references, but he puts in the brand new Swamp Thing that was created by Ram V into his book. He mentioned that he really, really loved the Swamp Thing by Ram V and Mike Perkins, and did a lot of research and backwork to making sure that the book was as updated as possible, and that people who are liking it could not only see what was happening with the wider scope of the DC universe, but also get to see other characters that are also part of this book, whether it be Renee Montoya Question, whether it's Black Lightning, or any of these other subsets of characters that might have not had the spotlight were it not for Justice League Unlimited. I actually give Mark and Dan a lot of credit for creating a cool book and making it enjoyable every month.
Nice. And you said Justice League
Unlimited.
So who is the new creative team? Is it Mark Waid?
It's Mark Waid and Dan Mora. The same. Dan Mora got off of Batman, Superman, World's Finest to do not only Justice League Unlimited, but he's also drawing Superman by Joshua Williamson at the moment. He's taking a little break right now. Eddie Barrows is filling in for 3 issues, and then Dan Moore is back on in July. But Dan is on both of these books simultaneously while doing like 10 variant covers a month. Like, it's insane.
He's
Okay.
awesome.
Wow, he's fast. Sean, what else have you been reading or enjoying? Anything like, I know when we talk about reads, like, was there something that you push yourself to read, or anybody can answer that, like for the sake of finishing it? Are you that type of reader, like, I need to get to the end of this even though I'm not enjoying this? Has that happened to any of you? Because it happens to me quite often. Like,
If I'm really not into something, I tend to crap out.
okay,
I'm a big believer I'm in a book club, and we're in a big believers in like the 50 or 100 page rule. It's like the first 50, 100 pages aren't doing it for you. Hang it up, because even though sometimes a book will turn it around, usually you're just hanging up a book that you're not enjoying. And comics are sort of like that. I mean, if I were to get to, I don't know, issue X of a series, and it's just not doing it for me, I probably won't push on to the end. Other than if I'm into something like Mike Grell's Green Arrow, I'm like, hey, that's great. I'll push through to the very end.
okay.
I have a bad habit of buying books that I don't actually love, like continuing with them. You know, it's just that comics reader thing.
I'm an X-Men
You
reader.
just-
I completely
Get
understand.
it?
Yeah, exactly.
Understandable.
So in the last year, with the help of my listeners, quite frankly, I've been paring down my list, and I have I have a WordPress article of all the titles I've been dropping, because I've had to drop so many books that I realized, wait a second, I don't even like this. Why am I buying this? But to talk about something that I am enjoying, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Right now, that book is unbelievable. Jason Aaron on the words, Juan Ferreira on the art. Some of you might have read the book Colder. That was a book that came out in the 2000s.
Yeah, that was
And
an older book.
Yeah, and that was my first introduction to Juan on that, and that was horror. So when I saw that he was doing the Turtles, I was like, how does that work? And then I saw the art. And when he jumps on the Turtles with issue 7, where they're all back together, they're all in New York, because the first 6 issues, they're not together. Something happened in the prior volume where they're separated.
I
They
love
don't
that
really-
setup, man.
Yeah, right?
Setup.
So they all come back together. They're all back in New York. Juan Ferreira on art. But the problem is that the Turtles still aren't getting along. So they're fighting against each other. They're fighting against the Foot, which is like retooled now. And they're fighting against other mutants. And so the whole city's against them. They only have each other, and they can barely stand each other. I think it's... I haven't read that much Turtles, but it feels like a perfect place for these characters. It's a mix of the movies, kind of, but also the grittiness that didn't exist anywhere but the comics. So I'm in heaven with this.
Nice.
Let's see. Read Iron. Thank you, John, for the super chat. Read Iron Man by Spencer Ackerman. Enough said. Have any of you read it? I'm waiting for the trade paperback, which I think doesn't come out until later this year, I want to say.
I need more said. Tell me why I should read it, John.
I'll tell you why you shouldn't if you're talking about Iron Man.
Please do.
Because it's
You're not digging?
this is one of the books that I had to drop. Yes.
What happened?
Well, I was because Spencer Ackerman is this war journal reporter. He's a legitimate reporter in the real world, and so they tapped him to write Iron Man, which you would think is a marriage made in heaven. He's going to come in here, talk about the military-industrial complex, yada yada yada. What I got out of it was honestly a paint-by-numbers comic story that just Iron Man has a pretty decent history over the last 20 years of some strong comics. This one felt like baby's first comic. There's nothing behind it. It didn't have propulsion. It didn't have excitement. And frankly, it didn't even have that deep, hard-hitting military stuff that I thought he was going to bring to the table.
So you weren't impressed with what he didn't bring anything new, is what you're saying.
I didn't think so. Nothing new, but I'm one of those people who doesn't think there's anything new under the sun. So I'm always down for a good remix, but it's not even that.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Good.
Okay.
Man, I'm curious what John thinks. Huh.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat with Sean. I think it was fine. Honestly, I think what I've just like noticed is to not like try to buy too much into the hype. Because I remember, Sean, when like Spencer was announced to get on the book, and all of these people were saying, "Oh, it's gonna be like this cool dig, like he's got the this background."
Yep.
I just thought like I felt like it was super surface level. On top of it, I also kind of think that he's fallen into the line of like, you get somebody outside of comics to do something in comics, and the stuff in comics just doesn't hit as well as the stuff that they do outside. So I think I'm with you on that.
Very much the opposite of a Ta-Nehisi Coates in that respect.
Well, I thought John might have liked it, and that's why he said read it. No,
Sorry, John.
well, John is like, I think probably
He's the Iron Man fan.
Yeah, he is the biggest Iron Man fan. Because I don't really know a lot of people that like Iron Man that much. On it, like when you think of like best super, when we're not talking about the movies, when we're talking about comics, when we're talking about movies, absolutely, like everybody's, oh man, Robert Downey Jr. is awesome. When you're talking about comics, it's like,
I don't think I own any Iron Man.
Yeah, John's like one of 3 people I know who like are super big Iron Man fans, but I've never met, like, I guess like outside, like, oh, like I got to get everything Iron Man, because I think a lot of it is the big movie synergy, right?
But some of that the 2000s Iron Man stuff, Warren Ellis, right? He had the Extremis, which was excellent. Matt Fraction did some really good stuff. I even thought the recent Jerry Duggan I thought was okay too.
Yeah.
I like how he tied it into X-Men, so I'm always a fan of that.
Did Christopher Cantwell write Iron Man recently?
He did, yeah.
Past 5 years?
He did.
I've heard good things about that one, but I haven't read it.
No,
I like that run.
There have been good Iron Man comics, but unlike the Moonnight run that I was just describing, Iron Man never seems to rise to the level of unmissable. I'm trying to remember the last time there was a phase of like, oh, Iron Man is so good, you have to buy and read this thing. When was that?
When was Iron Man that good? When he was director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I actually really like that story.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would say.
Yeah, okay. That was quite a while ago, though, wasn't it?
Okay, and John's saying he has brought in the things you were talking about since Doom took over things.
Yeah.
Lots of moral quandaries and political intrigue. Only Iron Man. Okay, here we go, Warren. What we got? Only Iron Man Omni 1 is superior Iron Man to be made.
He wants the Tom Taylor. I don't know if I can.
He wants the. I thought you were a Bendis guy. Don't you want the Bendis?
Infamous Iron Man, yeah.
Yeah. Figure and Riri Williams.
Look at that, Alex Maleev and Mike Deodato in Omni again.
When Iron Man comics are at their best, they're 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. The Extremis. I mean, if we think about Extremis, it was only 5, 6 issues.
It wasn't very long.
Short
series.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Ellis would do those things. Yeah.
Freaking no, it wasn't Ellis. It was Adi Granov, man.
Eddie Granov, yeah.
Oh,
And I don't think he's done a lot of interior since then. It's all been
he
covered.
started making that MCU money and designing stuff for the MCU. He ain't got to go back to comics, so that's fine.
Okay.
What do you got, Lars? What do you got?
If we're discussing reading habit, okay, now just bear with me here because this is an unusual case. This is kind of a case of like less is more sometimes. Okay, so there's a teenager in my orbit, and we're talking about books we might enjoy, and they're like, I think you'd enjoy. Yeah, because manga kind of is one of my weak spots. I mean, I've read some manga, but I'm not. And they're like, I think you would enjoy JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay?
Wait. He said you would enjoy, or he would enjoy?
No, that I would enjoy it. Okay.
What part is that? What part did?
Okay. See this. This is where. So this is the copy that the kid loaned to me, and they go, okay. Now they said this is part 5, but I'm giving you part 5 because I do think you'll be able to understand the story and pick it up. I don't think it's as crucial as all that it came before. And they said, and the stuff that comes before it is kind of uneven in quality. It takes a while to get going. Okay. And so they're like, I'm going to give you this. I think you're going to understand it. And it's when it is really good. And I'm like, great. And you know what? I'm reading it and I'm enjoying it. And I think I understand it. I don't think it's a big deal breaker that's part 5. Okay. So you can do that sometimes. Well, I bumped into another teenager that I know in the comic book store. And this kid, I'm just going to call this kid Billy Bob to protect their identity. And Billy Bob found that like my decision to start with volume 5 or part 5, like the worst decision I'd ever made in my entire life.
Mhm.
And they spent like 10 minutes trying to explain to me the tormented backstory of everything I had missed. And then the comic shop closed. And then I saw the kid like 4 days later, and they walk into the room and start writing on the dry erase board this big diagram. And I'm like, you know how like you sometimes just let a teenager talk because they're just being brilliant, you know, and you kind of let them go. Like it took me like 5 minutes to realize, oh my God, the kid is continuing the discussion we were having about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And it became this massive thing on the board. And I'm like, you know, it is like, I just want to read a comic. Okay, so Rawzilla says I read volumes 1 and 3, couldn't get into it. Maybe you should have started with part 5.
That's what I've heard. Like, so each part is a different incarnation of the character, right?
Oh, well, then you really don't need to know what came.
So you don't need to read. There are characters.
I didn't know that. I've just been reading part 5. Okay.
Well, so like the JoJo you're reading about is a different incarnation, and each one of them is like is borrowing a lot of elements from different anime. So if you're a big fan of anime and manga, like, and some people don't even get it. Like a lot of the younger like kids that are reading that don't even get the references and stuff. But my brother, who's been watching anime and reading manga as long as I have, they were like, "Oh my God, you got to read it, Omar. It's got stuff in there from like Ranma. It's got stuff in there from obviously Fist of the North Star and the way that this art style was done." So I made the same mistake Ron did.
Okay.
I started reading part 1 because that's the way I am. Like I can't go back and read. I don't know. I think Sean is this way too. Like when somebody's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about like the 10 issues that came before that. You got to start on issue number 12." I'm like, "Bullshit. I'm starting at issue 1. I don't care if it sucks."
You want to know how true that is, Omar? I literally went back to issue 1 of Amazing Spider-Man when I started reading comics.
The first issue.
The very Amazing 15 issue 1. I got that. This is a weird thing. I got a DVD CD disc box set that had every single issue on CD, and I read them all on my computer when I was a kid because I couldn't stomach the idea of starting, you know, in the middle of the story, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, back then we didn't have DVD ROMs and CD drives when I was a kid. So we had to rely on, you know, like, and there weren't even collected editions. There were Marvel Masterworks, but only rich people like Lars could buy those. And I couldn't afford Marvel Masterworks because they were like $40 to a kid. I was like, oh my God, that's like single issues. So it's crazy that now, you know, people that, hell, I think Dom has known collected editions all his life. Like they've always been there.
Yeah, that's always been around. I mean, I remember when I first went to the comic shop, like the first single issue I got was a Tom King Batman issue. And then I look back and I was like, hey, those are all the Batman by Scott Snyder trades that were gifted to me by my cousin like all those years ago. But it's always been like, you know, if I can get the single issue for like $4, like why do I need to spend like, you know, 20 or 25 more dollars to get one of these collected editions? And it was always this back and forth of, should I save money to get like these cool things that I can put on my shelf, or should I get the like complete satisfaction now of like this $4, $5 thing and make myself happy for the next 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But to go back to this point, Marvel did release some digest books then, and so did DC. But the problem was finding them. There was no internet. There was your comic book store that you were at the mercy of whatever they ordered. There was the pharmacy. There was Walmart where you could get single issues. But as far as like digest size of reprint things, it was near impossible to find any of that stuff. So it was harder for us to be like, I'm going to go back and read issue number 1 and forward. I will say for a long time, I did not read the Dark Phoenix saga until I had every single issue of the Dark Phoenix saga.
And the Phoenix Omnibus Volume 1 now.
Well, right.
And now
Volume 2
is out, right? Like
well,
now we have that. But back then it was like, I got to find what was the issue I was missing? I think it was 135. I was missing 135. I'm like, and I was missing it for 4 years. Like I had to go to conventions to try to find it.
So because those things aren't cheap either. Yeah.
Well, I've told this story before, but my grandfather very kindly drove me from like mall to mall to mall in Wisconsin trying to find a copy of Dark Phoenix Saga, the trade on the shelf.
Yeah.
Because because this is in an era when there was barely any trades at all, but they did have that one, but you had to find one on the shelf. I mean, and we did find. So I read it in trade. There we go. But quickly going back to the
classic X-Men, but I was much like Lars and too snooty to reread it. And then reprint. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna get the original issue and get that. It's just something special about getting the original single issue. Yeah. And now it's like been reprinted in so many different formats. It's crazy.
Going back to the point that sometimes starting in the middle of something is okay, and I see that some people in the feed are agreeing with the choice to start with part 5. Yeah, sometimes it's okay because if you really get into something, you can always go back and read the earlier stuff. And if you're not into it with the good stuff, then it doesn't matter. Sometimes something can be really incomprehensible, but I think we overestimate continuity because I was in this viewing group in town, and they decided they wanted to watch Babylon 5. And I said, well, there's just one problem with that. The first season is kind of crap. Why don't we skip to season 2? And they found this like incomprehensible. They're like, but you have to.
Sean and I would be like, nah, Lars, you're out the group.
They're like, but you have to see season 1 to understand. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you do not need to see season 1 to understand what's going on in the future seasons.
Totally do.
You need like 1 sentence explanations. Who is Valen? Bleh. That's it. You don't need to watch an entire season of mostly mediocre stuff. But yeah, the struggle's real there.
The struggle is real. I'm the same way, and especially like when when I was introduced to Doctor Who.
Well, and you didn't start at the beginning, did you?
No, I couldn't. I didn't have PBS as a subscription or whatever.
No, back in the day, most comic book series, that we picked up, like my first X-Men was 143.
Give you all for your argument.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Sorry, John.
You're just starting some fights here, but you don't have to start an issue number 1, apparently.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Omar. Though back in the olden days, you had to just jump into.
We were at the mercy of the TV and the antenna.
Yeah. Whether you're starting to read X-Men, you're starting to read Avengers, these series have been running for decades already, and you're just hopping on board. And you figure it out. And yes, and some things are more agreeable to doing that than others. I wouldn't try to make someone start with Twin Peaks with season 2. That would be insanity. But there's a lot of stuff you can.
Good. That's a really good point.
Yeah, because season 1's the best.
Well, also, I do think you need to
understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Omar got into Doctor Who because of KET. It was PBS. So they showed a lot of weird, obscure British shows at like 4:30 in the morning when my
the black backdrop and back.
Yeah, man. Whatever the local cable station or your local stations were, that's usually what started, like how they started showing these old shows that I ain't never heard of. I was like, what is this? What's up, Brian? Commander Sinclair.
No. Okay. It's funny you mentioned that because I remember when Babylon 5.
Ron.
1946. That's my guy. I like you for that. You're gonna watch George Mike and tear it up in 46.
Let's go.
George Mike, and what a pull.
You know
Send
what?
me the link.
If I was into sports, I'd be watching the NBA with season 1 too, Ron. Don't at me.
Watch you guys hold the ball for 2 minutes each because there was no shot clock, no 3-point line. Just watch these like super big guys bang inside the paint.
I know what he's saying.
All right, hold on. The Commander Sinclair comment. It is true. That
I got you riled up, Lars. Go ahead.
No, because it's really funny because Babylon 5 came out and it's a sci-fi show, so I'm watching it, and I was going, this lead actor is terrible. I was like, this show is not going to last if that guy's the lead. There's no way. And I was watching with a bunch of other people, and they're like, yeah, he's terrible. There's no way this show is going to last. And then season 2, they replaced him with a Bruce Boxleitner, and everything was fine again. So yeah,
that was the show that JMS did.
Yeah,
and he wrote every single episode except for, was it 5 of them that he?
There was like 5 or 6 that he did.
Peter David was one of those people.
Peter David wrote 2.
Oh,
Peter David wrote 2. Yeah, he wrote 2 of them. Yeah, then they're very good. They're very good.
You'd be proud of me. So I'm checking this out.
Oh,
I Dragon.
This is the Juan Jimenez I Dragon, which was something that Alien Books put together for their big Kickstarter. And if you're not familiar with Juan Jimenez, and you've been watching me for a few years, then I haven't been doing my job. It's a phenomenal artist. But they did a Kickstarter for these books. So I think the Kickstarters are going to be hardcover, if I'm not mistaken. But absolutely stunning artwork from Jimenez, and there's a total of 3 of them. Just look at that. Ah,
It's beautiful
Very, very
stuff.
nice.
what about you, Omni Dog? What else have you been reading, buddy? Then we'll get some questions in the chat.
I got to read Zatanna, Bring Down the House by Mariko Tamaki with art by Javi Rodriguez. This was really good. I had heard it was good, but I didn't know it was going to be this good. Zatanna is just sort of a card trick magician in Las Vegas, and you get told bits about her traumatic childhood with her father, Zatara, and as she gets older, there becomes kind of a battle between 2 opposing forces of magic that are battling for Zatanna, because she's kind of been denying ever since her childhood that she actually has magic in her, and it can be dark magic. And she gets kind of a helper along the way that helps her out. And it can get actually fairly dark. Wow, Constantine's in this. Constantine's in everything I'm reading. So Constantine's in this too. And Mariko Tamaki has a really good feeling for Zatanna. And it's not a cheesecake book at all. It's very action, magic action oriented, with her trying to discover herself.
Can you hold up is that Javier Rodriguez?
Yes.
Sir.
And so the art's really good, especially for this kind of book. I wasn't sure his art was going to be good for this, but it actually turned out perfectly.
Wow.
And he's the one that's working on Martian Manhunter, right?
You are correct.
Man, I can't wait for those hardcovers of those.
Yeah, same. So it's a kind of a battle for Zatanna's soul, where she's not really sure, besides actually Constantine and this other friend of hers that help her, not friend of hers, but a neutral magician, that it's really action packed and really fun and well written, and things have consequences, and you're introduced to new characters, a big, huge cast of characters on these 2 opposing sides, trying to battle for the dark magic within Zatanna and why she's buried it so deep. So it gets psychological too. I just thought this was just brilliantly brilliant. I see why people were digging it, and Mariko Tamaki nailed it with this. Really loved it.
Is that setting continuity or
Black Label.
It's a black label.
So does that answer the question? No, is Black Labeling continuity, or does it depend if the kind of like the Killing Joke when DC's like, that sold enough copies, that's in continuity?
I don't know that it's in continuity, because Zatanna doesn't have much of a place right now in DC.
Oh,
besides this book and another book that's coming out in singles. She's turned down the Justice League before, and it has a really great end. The book has a great ending, lots of childhood scenes. I don't know. There's not a lot of Zatanna out there, which I hate. I love Zatanna. I wish she was an ongoing and had, 20 years of backstories for me to tell you if it's continuity or not. All we get are these one-shots of her.
I wish she's definitely a character that unfortunately doesn't sell that well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even Paul Dini couldn't make her sell.
Well, that's the thing. I did pick up the reprint of the Paul Dini Zatanna, even though it does end kind of early. I mean, some of the storylines.
Oh, he didn't want it to end. He loved writing that book.
No, I think that got interrupted by the New 52, though.
You're correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right. It doesn't really sell. They could have continued it, but they didn't. She's been published more of late. Actually, I've been a little surprised.
Yeah.
by the Canda books.
Apparently, she has a new mini out right now.
Yeah.
Written
Jamal
by
Campbell.
Jamal Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Tom has it.
Yeah.
I have been reading it. I have been diligently following it to tell DC that we need more Zatanna books, and if they're going to be drawn as beautifully as Jamal Campbell can make it out to be, I want more of it. Even if I'm not, I don't know if I'm completely sold in the brand new villain that Jamal Campbell's brought, but I'm really happy that she's getting books.
I am too. She's one of my favorite underused characters. She's probably my favorite underused character. I just wish they would use her more. She needs a movie made about her or something.
That's the way I feel about Wolverine. Like, I wish they would use Wolverine.
Wow, there's nobody in the world that even
Like,
believes a single word of what you just said.
I mean, he's deserved his own title for a while now, and I
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, you can't get enough Wolverine.
There's some untapped potential there. Absolutely.
I do
Zatanna
think
has
that
been selling more than most DC books. Actually.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's so hard to know these. The numbers are so hard to come by. The dissolution of the Diamond Empire. Wow, it's really hard to know what the numbers are.
Oh gosh, it's a whole nightmare. Could you imagine that what Grant Morrison could have
Oh,
done?
I know.
And in New 52,
Oh,
run short.
don't get me started.
yeah.
Look, but then we got Tony Danielle's run, right? And that's coming out in Omni format. So
Is that detective?
yeah, that was the detective run.
Yeah.
Just
And
read
you
the
got-
first issue and don't read the rest. You're
Wow.
set.
Because it's the Joker story.
To where he carves his face off, and that's all you need to know. Don't worry about the.
I actually liked the book when John Layman and Jason Fabok got on. I mean, that was when Jason Fabok got his footing in before he got on Jeff Johns' Justice League. Was detective.
Yeah, that's a completely different writer.
Completely different from the Tony S. Daniel story.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to books that we keep reading because you're like, oh, well, I have to keep finishing. Detective Comics was definitely one of those. A lot of New 52 were that for me that I wasn't enjoying, and I just kept reading because I was like, well, I've got the trade paperback. I need to finish reading it. Tony Danielle is phenomenal artist. I've been following his work ever since he was doing X-Force. Then Todd McFarlane's like, hey, I need to also steal that guy from Marvel because he kind of draws like me. But he's one of these artists that I always think of when you have an artist that decides, hey, I want to write my own book. I always think of Tony Danielle or people like David Finch. Like David Finch, who has written some stuff. And I'm like,
Both of them were
Coincidentally,
on-
they both did.
both of them
Batman.
were on
and I'm gonna go ahead and say it, man. Like Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man was
Yeah.
pretty
Ponderous.
awful. Was so bad. And I was like, man, this guy's art is so good. I don't care how crappy the story is. It doesn't make any sense. And then we ended up getting Spawn, and they're people. I mean, there's generations that grew up with Spawn that think, that was like high point of comic book storytelling. And to me, it's always been okay. To me, like,
Yeah.
art is what carried a lot of that. So I think of that like Ian Churchill did that. What was the Marine Man, which was actually pretty funny. I like that book, and he changed his art style up some.
Spawn, I never really got into Spawn, and it took a while for it to click. I was talking to a colleague, and they said, well, the thing about Spawn you have to remember is that it's a story of loss. The guy goes to hell, and then when he comes back, he's lost his wife, he's lost his best friend, he's lost this, he's lost this, and that's what people gravitate onto it. I was like, okay, no, I can see some value there. It's still not for me.
It, as a matter of speaking of loss, it lost me with issue 1.
I am unfortunately one of the blind Spawn haters in the world. I mean, I remember working at a comic shop and a lot of people were pulling it, but I think like 50% of them were definitely not reading it for the writing. But what I will say is that I'm just looking at the covers, and personally, like, they don't appeal to me. I just find a lot of the 90s unappealing
Yeah.
as a reader.
Don't you agree with that, Lars? What the hell's wrong with you?
I didn't grow up in that time period. Oh, I'm sorry. Like,
You were just yelling at me because I haven't watched goddamn Adventure Time.
Did any of you
Yeah, I've read two
see?
compendiums.
Did any of you see the Spawn HBO animated series though? Because
Oh,
that
right.
was incredible.
Oh well, maybe.
Yeah, that came out in the late 90s. No,
Yeah.
actually,
yeah, the late 90s.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what did somebody hack into Harvey Picar's. I know there's no way.
No,
that
no,
he
that's his
would
wife
say that.
typing.
I will never forget. There was a show called
sorry,
Sci-Fi
guys.
Bus, and my buddy Newspooey Channel actually sent me the clip because this clip of Harlan Ellison, one of my favorite writers of all time,
Mm.
lives rent free in my head and has since the moment I saw it back in like 1992. So Harlan Ellison is going on about comics and the state of comics. So that's what
Wait, yes, I do.
old
remember
guys did, right? And he
I
had
know
this
what you're
little Harlan Ellison moment during the Sci-Fi Buzz. The beginning of the Sci-Fi Channel had this show called Sci-Fi Buzz. It was amazing. I loved it. Harlan Ellison talked about the Image comics, and he was like, they just don't make any sense. It's like none of the writing
remember this.
is any good. And you can find this clip on YouTube, by the way. And he said that what he did was he's like, I went to a convention and this guy was going on about how great his book is. It's called Spawn. And what he did was he took the pages, like the internal pages of the artwork, and he mixed them around. He was like doing that. He was like mixing page 1, 2, like 5, 18, whatever. And he was like, look, it still makes sense. And he's like, people are still buying this book, and it doesn't make any sense. Like it. So he was talking about Spawn, how McFarlane can just do anything with it and like switch pages around, and it still makes sense to his fans. Which is, I mean, there might be some truth to that. Hell, I will fight for X-Men as crappy as they have been for years. Like, I still think they're great. It's a great series. So I can imagine the Spawn, fans also are like that with the character.
Yeah.
And why is that up there again?
I didn't.
I recall the rant you're talking about, and this is the problem with Harlan Ellison is that he comes across as shouty old guy, but so often he was right. I mean, like,
He was a great writer.
you're just going, damn it, he has a point. Yeah.
My wife absolutely loves like those kind of writers, though. Like those old white dead writers are some of her favorite sci-fi writers. Like those guys. And Harlan Ellison was phenomenal, man.
Well, the rant he does about pay the writer, and the rant he does about even all the people who come to him and want freebies. The example he uses that he worked on Babylon 5, and then they go, hey, can we use your material for this Babylon 5 thingy? He's like, sure, if you pay me. Like, well, what do you mean? And they just want a freebie. He's like, this is Warner Brothers. Why does Warner Brothers want free stuff from me? He's like, pay the writer. Now he may have started insulting Warner Brothers staff that maybe he shouldn't have, but he was not wrong.
Blind X-Men hater impression.
Oh, okay.
I get it.
Spawn birthed McFarlane toys. Absolutely.
Oh,
Those are the crappiest crap that has been crapped. No Build-A-Figure stays together at all. Superman looks terrible. There's no good Superman. The only good figure that's come out of McFarlane Toys is that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow that sold out in 2 seconds because it halfway looked like her. Everything else, garbage. Garbage.
I was going to say, I actually thought that McFarlane was way ahead of his time with his McFarlane toys because all the other toys were the same scale and they weren't that articulated. And McFarlane, while his toys weren't that articulated, they kind of looked like mini statues. And I thought that was really cool that they were doing that back then. But
I'm not an action figure guy particularly, but then I did see like the McFarlane Toys had done an Ambush Bug and Cheeks action figure, and I love the Ambush Bug series, but I was like, no, I can't start buying it just for Ambush Bug and Cheeks.
Harlan Ellison also had the advice about writing. If you want to write well, don't write crap.
Okay,
that's some good advice.
The thing is, it is brilliant advice. It is. And I have used that on people. I really have. People I've been working with, they give me this, and I'm like, what are you doing? This is crap. Yeah, in fact, a colleague of mine. My thing is, he gave me an essay, and I was like, "This is shit. What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, no, hold on." And he goes back and he tears it up and he gives me version 2, and I'm like, "This is still shit. What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, hold on." Tears it up, gives him version 3. Brilliant. He went from shit to brilliant. And it's like, just stop writing crap.
Lars, you're going to be the new Harlan Ellison.
I don't know.
You had Harlan Ellison's Dream Corridor series published by Dark Horse, DC graphic novel drawn by Marshall Rogers.
I still have those. That was really cool.
Yeah.
McFarlane Toys Dragons line was cool back in the day, but McFarlane ruined toy lines worldwide with articulation. Japanese lines following his lead was awful. Except that Robert Pattinson statue. That is so awful. All right, where were we? Let's talk about some of the things that you all have been reading. Sean, what else have you been reading that you've enjoyed?
Any Harlan Ellison?
You got any Harlan Ellison stories you want to share?
I have no mouth and I must scream.
Yes,
nice. Good
class.
Good, amazing story, brilliant story. Speaking of brilliant stories, I want to shout out another absolute book, and I'm sure a lot of people are talking about this right now, but I'm going to join that chorus. Absolute Batman. Now, I said this on one of our reviews when I think it was issue 6 came out. The feeling that I have about Absolute Batman when I see how brilliant this story is being written by Scott Snyder and drawn by Nick Dragotta, it feels like in 10, 20 years from now, if they keep doing it what they're doing, we could be talking about this book as a classic. Because it has all of those ingredients. It feels dirty and dangerous. And I made the comparison to The Dark Knight Returns, and I know that is the holy grail. I think this can stand shoulder to shoulder with that book if it continues down this trajectory. This is a grittier Batman, which we've all seen gritty Batman before, but he doesn't have the exact same access to resources. He doesn't have Alfred in the same way. They made some changes as far as his supporting cast. He actually has a huge supporting cast now. And the Nick Dragotta artwork is insane. What he's able to convey, there are pages that have 13, 14, 15, 16 panels on them, right? Which normally you would look at that and your head would spin. But there's something about the way that Dragotta is able to maximize even the smallest amount of space to convey information that makes this story exciting to read. On top of the fact that it is toppling and rebuilding Batman's mythos from the ground up, done by somebody who's pretty well versed in the character, Scott Snyder. I think Scott Snyder has 2 classic Batman runs under his belt, and I'm excited for more.
Wow.
Brilliant writing from Scott Snyder. Sean hit his head.
What are you talking about? Sean,
Spawn boy over there.
Yeah. Spawn is boss? What is that? Talking to Sean that way? How dare you?
Thank you, Jess. I appreciate you having my back.
Totally. I love listening to you. You describe
DC should hire Sean for marketing. Look at that.
Yeah.
I wish they would.
Describes comics so well.
He does, man. I love it. I love having Sean.
it.
He makes everybody else look stupid. Wait.
Well, thank you very much.
Wait, not me.
Certainly not
Obviously,
Lars.
I'm not talking about I didn't mean to throw myself under that category. Sorry.
Wow. Wow.
Dumb question. No such thing as a dumb question. But
That's what my math teacher told me.
Be announced. What did you ask?
Can I ask a dumb question?
Can I go? Can I go to the bathroom? Is what he was asking.
Well, don't ask Lars that question. He will make you feel awful. Channeling his Harlan Ellison. Yes, the poll results. The Reprint poll results will be up on Friday, Thursday evening. If you're on Patreon, and the entire list I'm going to put on Patreon because I know everybody there likes to see where their favorite book ended up on the list. I just hope if you're asking, you're not a fan of the bottom 3, which I shared here earlier, which was Morbius the Living Vampire, Omni, Marvel Universe by Rob Liefeld, and Marvel Universe by John Byrne, Volume 1.
Okay, we say there's no such thing as a dumb question, but
oh gosh,
hold on.
What?
I did have a student one time, and this is a native English speaker
Mm-hmm.
who they had short stories to read for sci-fi short stories to read, and they're flustering around with their printout and look at me and they go, so, wait, do I read this left to right or right to left?
Was it a manga?
No. I think it was Isaac Asimov, and all I could do was go, you read it left to right. Now we say there's no dumb question, but come on, if you were a sophomore in high school, you should know that English stories are read left to right.
Yeah, wow.
I'm
What
ready
do
to
you
go
start at
wild.
live one?
Absolute Martian Manhunter better than Absolute Batman. James, you wanna oil wrestle Sean?
Oh,
You're doing
Very specific.
a specific way of describing a.
we settle shit here at Norweigian Condition.
Yeah.
Oil wrestle.
Well,
You know what?
We want you to be safe.
Yeah, I don't
James, you got it. You got it. I'm good. I've seen enough oil matches in WWE between the ladies. I know how that goes. I'm keeping my clothes on.
That's optional. The oil sometimes makes things.
Oh my god!
Okay, and remember, I live in Iowa, where the state fair they will usually have a greased pig contest. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
anything
I
about
never
it.
know where Lars is going when he starts talking about things. Speaking of oil, Frank Miller's Dark Knight better than Absolute Bat. I think a lot of people would probably. agree with Lars.
Scott's Batman also isn't finished yet.
Yeah,
so.
let him cook.
Hmm.
Let him cook.
All right.
Yeah, that did come out of your mouth pretty quickly.
I've been in a lot of fights. Absolute Wonder Woman. All other Absolute and Ultimate lines. Wow.
Marcelo speaks my language.
I can't speak because I haven't read any of the Absolute.
I haven't
lines.
either.
Or no, neither have I. I've had reluctance to read the Absolute lines purely because I am reading a lot, and the thought of starting another, imprint of the characters, like basically starting DC's Ultimate line, I'm like, ooh, I just don't have the energy. I was told if I only read one title to read Absolute Martian Manhunter, and they were like,
It is really good.
Absolute
It is
Martian
flat out.
Manhunter,
And
then
that's
move on.
Denise.
Denise Camp and Javi Rodriguez in the book also, like a couple weeks ago, got extended to 12 issues instead of the original 6.
Yeah.
So,
Dom,
Kudos
did
to
you-
DC.
I'm a huge fan of Denise Camp's
Me too.
Ultimates. So I hope somebody locks that guy in for some kind of exclusive before, because I hate when that happens. Like, I think it's wonderful for creators, but when they get locked into exclusives, I'm like, damn it, now I can't enjoy Ultimates, or I guess in the case of Absolute Martian Manhunter, which I haven't read, that would suck. So it's like you can't have both. You can't have both. So.
By the way, someone in the feed was asking if we are the sort of people to read as we go along or to let stuff bank and then read it all at once. I did when I was making my reading list here. There are certain titles that I am letting them bank, and then I'm going to read them in collected editions. Saga.
What do you got?
Saga. I Hate Fairyland. Zatanna. It's true. X-Men by Gail Simone, Los Monstros by James Robinson, and Assorted Crisis Events. Those are all titles that I'm just going to let them. I'm going to read the collected editions. But then I've also got like Aliens versus Avengers. That I'm reading as it comes out. DC versus Vampires. Cannot put it down.
Oh, that's great.
That as it comes out. Grendel, whenever that publishes. I don't know. So, gentlemen, how do you feel about that?
Wait,
I guess I'm both. There's titles that I'm reading
Wagner.
every new issue, and some that I'm letting collect.
Which Grendel are you talking about?
The Matt Wagner Grendel. It's still being published.
Yeah, but he comes out with a book like every 7-8 years. I think you can read it, and
No. But lately he's been doing more.
there's a new Grendel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've got I've got all the classics, and I've got the Grendel Goes to Space or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I did. He did Grendel to space, and then Grendel Prime comes back from space to find that. To find that the vampires have basically taken over. I mean, the space one was coming out fairly regular. There were some gaps, and then the Grendel Prime comes back from space. There was a few of those, and there are some hiatuses to be sure. But yeah, if there's a new one of that, now good stuff. But I don't know. Do we read they come out, or do they bank? Or do you
I'm a collected editions reader, so I have to wait until they bank. So by
I wait
definition.
till they're
I
banked.
have to wait. My wife, on the other hand, likes to spoil things for me if I don't have the single issue. And she's like, "Oh my god, I want to show you this panel from Transformers," and I'm like, "Fine." So she shows me the panel, and it's usually the last page, and I'm like, "Shit, that's pretty cool. I can't wait to read it a year from now." And she did the same thing with Ultimate Spider-Man, and she's reading one of the Absolute books. I'm like, "Damn it. I need to just have a rule in this house. I don't want to see any more panels until it's out in collected edition." But yeah, I guess banking now. I used to be, single issue guy, but somebody mentioned earlier the Children of the Vault. Ethan, that series was so good. That's why I was like, who is this guy? That was the first thing I ever read by him. And then he did Ultimates, and he's kind of getting big. So what did he do before Children of the Vault?
He did a Bloodshot series over a Valiant with John Davis Hunt that stopped midway.
That was really good.
Yeah, really good stuff. And yeah, since then, between Ultimates, Children of the Vault, I found him out through 20th Century Men over at Image.
Men. Yep.
And that is one of the most fascinating political thrillers I think I've read in like the last 5 years. I could not put the book down.
I need to pick that up. Is the first trade of that out?
It's only one trade. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Space Ghost is good, but Dick Tracy has to be one of my favorite reads this year. That book was freaking amazing. Mad Cave is publishing that one too. No, Dynamite is doing Space Ghost, but Mad Cave's Dick Tracy was freaking awesome, dude. Have you all read that?
No. First I'm hearing about it.
No.
Okay, so Mad Cave has been just firing on all cylinders lately. They for a small publisher that I have been following since their early days, they have come out with like classic stuff. They have the rights to print I was just mentioning Gotcha Man. They've got to print Flash Gordon and then Defenders of the Earth and things like that. So it's really cool to see just this publisher blow up. But it's this book by Alex Segura and Michael Moretti, and it is freaking phenomenal. It's like it's a take on who's the artist? Borges is the artist, Gerardo Borges. But it's a take on Dick Tracy. It's still taking place in the city. It's still taking place after World War II, and it's got the classic characters, but a new take on them with a new spin, like more of an adultish type of spin, if you will. Man, that first trade paperback was so good. There's a deluxe edition that I think is coming out later this year. Oh, so good. Flash Gordon by Jeremy Adams. That's another book that was excellent. I read that a couple of months ago. Damn, did I do an overview of that one? I can't remember. But I need to if I haven't.
Jeremy Adams is on fire right now.
Yeah, that dude and I became best friends when I interviewed him. I was like, oh my God, you like the New Warriors?
You like New Warriors. Like, there's somebody else like
that.
The only two New Warriors.
Bonding over the things we grew up with and the things we liked, and we were like, oh, we both like the same video games. And then, but he's the first person I've ever interviewed going, yeah, man, I've got this crazy idea. I don't know if you've heard of it, like the New Warriors from the. I was like, get the fuck out.
Match made in heaven.
It was like that scene from Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends?
Also, one of the most enthusiastic people like I've ever talked to. You want to talk about like a giant ball of energy who clearly just like loves the medium and like likes delving into stuff. Jeremy is like one of the most enthusiastic people I've ever talked to.
Yeah, man, he's awesome, dude. Great guy, and I love his Green Lantern, Aquaman. Mm-hmm. Is he doing any of the Absolute series?
He's not, but he's doing a Green Lantern core book co-written by the Cyborg Donna DC writer
Morgan Hampton.
Mm-hmm. And Fernando Pasarin is also back on Green Lantern after he was doing it with Tomasi back during the New 52 GLC days.
Dozens of us, Matthias. Dozens of us, baby. That's all it will take. Shut up, Blas. You and Warren can jump in the same blender, so I can just.
Whoa! It's violent.
Adams really feels the DC successor to Wade. I think a lot of us feel like that. Like
wow, that is a big compliment. I can't wait to read his stuff.
Well, what's the best Green Lantern or Aquaman run since Jeff Johns? In my mind, in both cases, the answer is the current one by Jeremy Adams.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I shouldn't think. Robert Venditti's Green Lantern was pretty solid, but Jeremy Adams actually, I don't know everything he did in the first. I think there's only 2 trades that are out right now, because it was the New Dawn, right? Like Dawn.
Yeah.
Era.
The Dawn of DC stuff, and then the second.
Yeah. I was like, oh, he gets these characters. Oh,
Yep.
yeah, you're right, Sean. Absolutely, man.
Speaking of Wade, can I talk about another book I'm reading from him?
Yeah.
Batman and Robin Year One is absolutely phenomenal. And when I heard that Chris Somney was going to be doing something with Wade again to take me back to the good old San Francisco days of Daredevil and the Black Widow, I said, you know what? I have to try out. And I mean, not only that, I think you can clearly tell, like, this is not only something that Somney's enjoying, but I think this is his dream project. Like, I think for years, you can tell that Somney has been wanting to draw Batman, to draw Gotham, to draw everything about, the dynamic duo. And it's clear that, like, not only do you feel the the original Silver Age vibes, but I think what Wade does is just he writes the the original relationship of these two characters so well, understanding where, like, these two have come, like, Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne have come from super similar circumstances. The problem is, obviously, they just look at the world from a different way, where Dick Grayson is a lot more like, the world is a lot more innocent. Bruce is like, I've seen a lot that you probably haven't seen, so you need to cool it down. And it is just it's not only a wonderful analysis of those two in their respective relationship with each other, but yeah, it's Chris Somney's dream book. Like, I hope it gets to absolute format someday. Like, this book deserves that.
Is it 12 issues?
12-issue series.
All right. I haven't read it yet, so I can't wait to read it. And I'm sure the hardcover will come out first, and then the deluxe edition.
Yeah, the hardcover I think is like 5th. Hold on, you know what? Let me pull it, because it's coming.
You're welcome for the deluxe that'll come, because I'm buying both the standard hardcovers of that. So you're welcome.
No! If they're releasing it out in full in one trade paperback and one standard size hardcover, the same day.
Yeah, Jess, you got to get both, and then we'll get a deluxe.
And then we'll get.
And then when you get the deluxe, we'll get the absolute edition. All right, Jess, you will appreciate this, man. When we had Mark Waid on, I was like, right before he left, I was like, okay, hear me out, Mark. Batman and Robin, Year 2, Return of the Reaper.
Batman, we didn't Robin
no. He didn't say no. Just came here to say Sean's lying. He clearly doesn't know what the answer.
See, first of all,
what's up, BJ?
First of all, BJ, I want to say one thing to you, brother.
Ooh.
Black people are supposed to stick together. Where's the unity? Why are you betraying the culture right now? Second of all, don't make me get back there and play that piano and prove you wrong right now.
That's right.
I want to know how you're going to pull that off.
Don't do it. Don't do it. That's not right, BJ.
That's right, baby. Right. Let's go. Year 2. We thank Omni Doug for a second.
It's coming out, and it's coming out all in one. But yes, I agree.
Jess has been making sacrifices, I think, all his life for us. Editions, man. Jess has made so many sacrifices. He's forgotten exactly how many books he has helped get made.
He was not the hero we asked for, but he was the hero we needed.
This man preaching Black unity after making February Snow Bunny appreciation.
Dang, man.
Wow. Okay, so is it true? Is it true? Yes. But consider this. Are snow bunnies not part of Black history?
This is true.
Wait.
A lot of great movies have come out.
Come on now. Listen, I only come on here to speak the truth.
That is true. Standard hardcovers actually
Snow Bunny.
What are snow bunnies? Lars, inform the man what.
Oh no!
Lars knows what they.
Please, for the love of God, don't drag me into this conversation. All right.
Come on, Lars. You're the smartest guy.
No. People won't believe this, but I do know my limits. Okay. All right. All right. I know.
What
I
are
know people
those?
think I don't have them or any filters.
Wow,
but
we
I do.
found Lars's.
But I do.
limit.
We found the limit. Thank you, Lars.
It's just women skiers.
Yeah, women's gear. I guess if there's two.
That's
Never mind.
What are snow bunnies for real? I don't think I've heard this.
Yeah, I heard that.
And Sean, when you say educate me on, so what is a cultural movie that you think best exemplifies this?
Okay,
Please inform us about this.
Lars, get-
So there was a movie called
Why
Monsters.
did I be canceled? I'm dodging all the questions. Okay.
There was a movie called Monsters Ball, all right, with Halle Berry and what was
Bob
that guy's
Thornton.
name? And
Billy
Billy
Bob
Bob
Thornton.
Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton.
I got you.
I don't know anything about this.
I could go on, but I won't.
Where are
Wait.
you going with this?
Snow bunny.
This
I
is
might be canceled. I think I was remarkably restrained there, for God's sake.
Snow bunny equals Haley Steinfeld and Sinners. The miseducation of Omni Dog. What's happening?
dude. Sinners was excellent. If y'all ain't seen Sinners,
That's what
seeing
I
it
heard.
Friday.
I heard it was awesome.
I can't
so
wait.
good.
I'll watch anything with Haley Steinfeld in it. I know that for sure.
She's in it. And Jazz, I know you hate the theater, and I know you hate people, but man, it's worth it to go out there and watch this movie, dude. It's awesome.
Okay, you already saw it?
I went to see it this past weekend, dude. It
And
was
this is
great.
by Ryan
Coogler.
Ryan Coogler.
And
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan. I don't want to even tell you the premise, man. It's solid. It's a horror movie. And
Yeah.
I don't know this reference.
it's a Chasing Amy reference.
I haven't seen Chasing Amy either.
Oh, I love that movie. I saw Sinners for the third time.
Wow.
I'm obsessed.
How many
Dude,
buckets of popcorn did you get, Eric?
so good, Eric.
Maybe it's time for me to see it too.
Sinners has the sauce. Yeah. And there's a newcomer too. The kid that played the lead. I thought he was excellent. I'm watching it Saturday. I don't ever spoil things, man. I don't even spoil things from 40 years ago. I forgot P. Diddy was in Monsters Ball.
Whoa.
What?
Oh my God, that's not the part I was talking about. Get the baby oil out of here. We don't need that.
Oh
No.
Oh man! All right, yes, Miles Catron, dude, that guy killed it. Awesome.
no! Omar, could I bring up a question? I think somebody else asked earlier to the panel, real quick.
Sure. What do you got?
Somebody I think asked along the lines of, do we read stuff in like from front to end, like say like we read one run or we read one book from front to end, or do we flip flop back and forth between, like I'll be reading this
Oh, you
book.
mean like going from book to book? Like, oh, I gotta put
Yes.
that down to go do. That is a great question. That is an excellent question.
I don't entirely understand. You mean
I finished.
I
I
can only-
finished the book. I finished the
I
book.
have to. Yeah. I
And
have to
that's the
read
way I-
one book at a time,
Yeah.
and then I finish it, and then I move on to the next. I can't read 5 books at once. I have to read one and finish it up.
I was the same way until I started doing this. Then it's like I have to move from book to book. But I was much like Jess, because if
Yeah.
I'm caught in the story, if I'm caught in the moment, in the characters, I have to see it all the way through. I was like that with single issues as well.
Mhm.
And nowadays it's like I am jumping from book to book, from publisher to publisher, from indie to horror. Like it's just like I'm all over the place. Sometimes it can be a bit of a mess. Thank goodness. So far I can keep it all straight in my head. I haven't had to write it down yet, but I imagine here in about 10 years or so, when I start going senile, I'll have to start writing things down where I am or what I'm currently reading. Yeah.
Well, all right. So it's funny you mentioned that. So yeah, I have to jump around. I have to, because like I have, if nothing else, I have my monthly book club. I'm in a Star Trek book club. Then there's the stuff that I personally want to free read. So I've got like competing deadlines for reading stuff. Comics, I'm all over the place. Yeah, I have to jump around now. But that begs the question. Some of you, I do find that when I'm reading something, you know Netflix paralysis, right?
Yeah.
How you're spoiled for choice.
Oh, when Netflix insults you by like, are you still watching this? Is that what
Yeah.
you're How dare you, Netflix?
What's
Of
wrong
course I
with
am.
you?
Yes.
No, the Netflix paralysis of like you have so many choices and so much accessibility, you can't decide what to read. I find that I sometimes have to fight that impulse while I'm reading something because, like, if I'm reading a comic, some of my brain is telling me, "But you could be reading a different comic. You could be reading this comic over here."
Interesting.
And it's like, and I have to go, "No, shut up, brain. I'm going to keep reading this one I'm reading." I mean, does anyone else have that problem?
You should say that to your brain more often.
Well, yeah. A lot of people
Shut
I
up,
would.
I tend to be pretty laser focused when I'm reading or watching something. Like if I'm watching a show, that's the only show I'm into. If I'm reading a comic or a novel, that's all I'm reading.
Right. Okay. Well, that's because you're a better man than I am, obviously.
Certainly.
I feel you on that, Sean. I think I would say this. I'm the same for the most part, but right now I'm reading through the Superman Family DC Finest trade paperback. I'm going to be doing an overview for Near Mint as per the usual. I have actually found that the way to, at least for me, to pull through and push through a lot of the story, because those stories do take a long time to read, is after I'm done with a specific issue or a specific story, I jump around and read something else that's a lot lighter or like a super quick breezy read through, and then get back to the book, go back there, hop on again. But that's specifically only for stuff that's published before like 1979. Anything else, I will power through that as quick as I can because, I have ADHD and there's nothing I can do with my mind bouncing around different places.
I'm reassured by how many of you in the feed say you've experienced the same thing. Although there's a part of me that wants to say that's just completely stupid. You should be able to just read a comic, read a comic, and stop second guessing yourself. But apparently, a lot of us do.
No, I feel it.
I do think
me as well. Like it's.
I will say that I as you saw when I was talking about the Tiny Onion omnibus that led to Joker War Saga, that led to Nightwing Joker War, that led to Rob Batgirl, Birds of Prey, which led to First Birds of Prey, which led to Sinner Spirit World. I have to know what's going on in a certain book, and I will read everything around it to the exclusion of everything else. So that's what I did today with these books. And then I did it the other day with all the Tiny Onion Omni and all those Joker War things. I mean, I had to read all those to inform my main read. So but I do have to just read a single book and then move on.
Were you like that as a kid? Because that was, to me, the beauty of comics when I was a kid, was finding something in like X-Men, right? I'm going to bring this one up because people were talking about the Defenders a little bit earlier. But there was a story in the Defenders, I think it was like 15, 16, where Magneto is turned into an infant, right? And I was like, I don't know what the hell the Defenders is, but I got to find those issues. And that's the way I was as a kid. And it's still like that. And again, what you were just saying about how you went down this rabbit hole of reading this one trade led you reading into other trades. And I love that about comics because of this interconnected universe.
Yeah. I wasn't like that as a kid because I didn't have the luxury, because I know exactly what you mean. There was reference to, Magneto became a baby. And I somehow at a garage sale, I got issue 104 or whatever it is. When
he was transformed into an adult again.
Exactly. But see, the thing is, Marvel back then would explain things. I mean, because it
was called an editor's note.
The editor's notes, or they would do panels that were flashbacks to the issue. So I stood zero chance of finding those Defenders issues. So I had to give up all hope of finding them. But as long as it was explained to me, then I'm like, okay, we're fine.
My childhood was a lot different because when I grew up, there weren't 4 and 6 issue runs. So it was just, except for like one time in Action Comics in like 68, there was a kryptonite like fever that Superman got. And that was the only one that is actually what you were talking about, Omar, where I had to seek out the other ones because everything. I bought mine in a spinner rack in a drugstore. I know I'm dating myself, but I admit I'm old already, so it's fine. But the distribution was hit or miss. You wouldn't get there wasn't an LCS for you to go to and have a pull box. I would just have to go and pick up whatever issues I could find. And I got the middle issue, that Kryptonite Fever from Action. And I ended up having to go down to LA and with my brother go to bookstores that had used comic book areas to find the other two issues of that Kryptonite Fever thing. I can still picture, I think they were Neil Adams covers. It was Virus X or something. I can still remember it. But otherwise they were pretty much episodic, just one and done type issues for the most part. There was starting in the 70s with Batman and Superman, there was sort of a through line going through the stories, but for the most part, they were just one issue at a time, even though like Ra's al Ghul would go through a line, or the when the Kryptonite Nevermore issue hit, and Kryptonite was eradicated, Superman lands in the sand, and this mirror Superman made out of sand was a continuing story for like 6 issues. So you did have to sort of get those, but otherwise it was pretty much one and done.
I shared this with my kids all the time. Yeah, do you remember the joy of watching TV and missing an episode, not knowing see it again?
Wow.
I told my kids will never ever have to say, hurry up, it's coming back on. They'll never hear those words, right? The words that we all used to say when our brother or sister, went to go get something from the kitchen or whatever, and the commercial was about to end. Yeah, my kids have grown up in an era of nothing but streaming services and, of course, YouTube. But yeah, it was very similar to what Josh is talking about. Yeah, we never knew if something was coming back on, and we would talk about it at school sometimes, like an episode of G.I. Joe or Transformers. It's pretty cool, but it's pretty cool that everything is accessible now. Like you can find it in some kind of streaming site, like Lars was talking about. But then you get, what was it called again? Netflix paralysis.
Netflix paralysis, which is the first kind is that you don't know what to watch in the first place.
You would do that. It's the new Blockbuster, right? Like you would walk through a Blockbuster store and then pick out a movie for hours.
Blockbuster is even worse because often I would go there with my friends, and then you have to pick something that everyone can agree on that they want to watch or won't hate, and then it takes even longer. So yeah, it would take a long time.
What's up, everybody? Paulie, how are you? Recently read Annihilation and Annihilation Conquest. Loved it. Genuinely surprised, since I don't like Marvel Cosmic stuff. And
stop there.
That's how they get you, man. It's so good. Yeah.
Stop there. And you'll be
I remember missing a cartoon due to daylight savings time. Yeah, dude. That sucked. The original cartoons, Transformers cartoons sucked, and I loved it.
Captain Underpants.
There was an episode, a couple of episodes written by JMS. There was a couple of episodes written by Len Wein, and Paul Dini did one episode in season 3. Yep. So some of them were all right. Snowbunny.
That's what I was just laughing at.
I've been there. I felt that.
There is one Blockbuster left in the whole world. It is located in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah, that's true.
Now that my innocence has been lost.
Snowbunny
crisis.
And Real Ghostbusters also had JMS doing a lot of those stories. Yeah, some of those cartoons were pretty good. Like, I've been rewatching all the Transformers with my kids. This is the next book I'm reading, and holy crap!
Okay, Curtis loves that one.
Curtis loves this book. Gives it a seal. I am 2/3 of the way in for volume 1, and I've got 5 volumes to go through. This is not light reading. This is some heavy reading. I'm loving it, man.
Yeah.
It's going. I like the third act that I'm in right now, because it's going in a different way than the beginning of the book, where this felt like a sci-fi with a lot of history. Yeah. But the last part, I'm like, oh, this is excellent.
What's it about?
This is published by Titan Comics. It's kind of a take on the
it's basically the Roman Empire in space.
in space.
Ooh.
It's the fall. It's the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, but in space, and it's written in that way too, like a historical take on it. It's
That's
excellent.
awesome.
Woo, so good, man. And this is the Trigon Empire.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Since I know everybody knows everything and I don't, this is not a Snow Bunny related question.
Oh, then I'm out.
Who, Dom, you might know.
That's
Okay,
Lucas
yeah.
Warneck.
What's that?
Lucas Warneck.
Right, I did know that. What I thought I was buying was Psylocke in this,
It's
but
Jubilee, isn't it?
That's Jubilee.
it's Jubilee because of all the
Definitely
stuff exploding around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I still love the cover.
It is a pretty cool cover. I think I have it somewhere too. So
I have a bunch of covers that I just got.
Reading old. Did you see Adam Hughes is going to be at Heroes Con, Jess?
No, what? Seriously?
It's like your favorite, so I was like, oh, I gotta tell Jess.
What? You're just now telling me this? What the hell?
You just announced.
that should have been the first pitch, Omar, when you told him just to come.
2.5 hours late.
It was just announced. Yes. Also, all Asians look alike.
Okay.
No,
I'm
no,
not-
Mr. Awesome. Asian women, not all Asians.
Oh
I-
my god.
That's crazy,
I did
yo.
not say that, and I was not implying that.
I love you, man. Jubilee and Kitty Pryde age while Spider-Man and things stayed the same age. Jubilee had a kid. YouTube.
Yeah,
YouTube
Dragon Kid.
awful. Makes it hard to look at the books in your thumbnail, Omar. Wait.
I did it. I did.
Oh, the stupid little thing where you highlight it.
I did show some teenagers the Batman Lego movie recently, and one of them, who's a Batman fanatic, comes up to me afterward in a huff, and they go, "You know what's wrong with that movie, don't you?" And I go, "Not exactly." And they go, "Dick and Barbara are supposed to be the same age," and I'm like, "That's the part of the Lego movie that deviates from reality for you." Okay,
That movie's great.
it is great.
I don't like Will Ferrell, but I like. Oh wait, you're talking about the Batman Lego movie, not
Yes, Batman Lego. Yes.
the Lego movie is excellent. Outside of Miller and Byrne, respectively, what would you guys say are some definitive runs for Batman and Superman, both pre and post Crisis? Doesn't matter.
O'Neill
If
for
they
Batman.
haven't been collected yet.
O'Neill Batman.
Definitive runs.
Definitive runs for. Let's start with Batman. What do you think is the definitive run for Batman, Lars?
Oh. I mean, oh dear.
Batman Year 2.
Oh no.
That took a shot.
I mean, it depends because, like you say, Denny O'Neil is in the DNA a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, is it Grant Morrison's Batman?
Yes.
It might be. It might be It might be Grant's.
There is no other modern writer whose DNA is in everything that Batman writers are doing now with the character more than Morrison. It's all over.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah.
Morrison's a good one. I like that. I like Paul.
Because again, because like Denny's stuff is in there pretty strong, but Denny's stuff is kind of more diffused. I mean, Denny doesn't. I don't think Denny has a long, strong run to really anchor it together.
Oh, you mean because it's kind of broken up into different?
It's kind of broken up, and it's kind of all over the place. And he does introduce Ra's al Ghul and Talia, and so he adds a lot, but it's kind of spread out.
See, when we talk about these definitive runs, I immediately go to my childhood. So my childhood was the Alan Grant, Norm Brayfogle, and Chuck Dixon, and Mike W. Barr, like that era. And those guys stuck around the Bat books for a long time.
They did, although it should also be said they were pulling in different directions because I mean, and in fact, O'Neill wanted it this way. He wanted books with different styles.
Mhm.
So I mean, you're right, but then who is the definitive one? They're kind of competing with each other.
Wow, Warren. You want people to buy books?
That's a weird take.
He's not a fan of Year 2. Batman, Morrison, Snyder, and King. I'll be honest, I think that might be the answer as much as I'm not the biggest fan of all three of their runs on Batman, but
I mean, collectively they are pretty powerful. Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Snyder for me, like the first year or so is brilliant, and then boy does it.
And the
go downhill
cells
after
of that book were.
Well, I know. No, people like it. It's hard to argue with success, but yeah.
That's
And
all
then-
I read as a kid. Like, even I just remember rereading like Court of Owls, City of Owls, and then like Death of the Family, like over and over and over again. Because those trade paperbacks were the only Batman trade paperbacks I had.
Yes, but then did you ever finish it out?
I know I did. Like, my cousin eventually got me the rest of the 10-volume set as I aged up. And then, like, right after the tail of that, I found out that comic stores were a thing. And
Comic book stores were a thing. You discovered them. What about Steve Englehart? What do you guys think of that run? I mean, I liked it. I don't know if it's definitive.
I liked it. I'm not sure I would say it's endured as much.
I'm just thinking of like definitive. I have to agree with you, Lars. Like, I mean, Grant's template has been reused or rectified in every single run. Like, Snyder takes elements of it with the legend and the greater than grand mythos and the Batman always wins ethos of that book.
Zdarsky. Sorry, Zdarsky took from it too.
I mean,
I think if you were boning up on your Batman, as it were, you're looking for books that you should read. Grant's run is kind of a lightning rod. It kind of draws you in.
I don't know if you can just read it by itself though, without the stuff that leads up to it.
You absolutely can. You absolutely can.
Yeah.
Again, you kind of fill in the gaps because I did because like he is calling on such goofy stuff from the Silver Age and they did put out that Black Case book.
Yeah, they should reprint that.
But they put it out much later, and so I had been reading quite a bit of Morrison Batman before that stuff came out. So no, I don't think you do need to know.
I jumped into the middle of that run. That was when I started reading comics, and I was hooked.
Which part?
Middle of that run.
I remember the exact issue. It was the issue where Batman is being tortured by the Third Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had no idea what was going
on.
Talk
about a first issue there.
And which is really funny because Grant Morrison, like a Tom Stoppard play, you read it, and I'm always convinced I'm only understanding like maybe 70% of it. But
it's because you're not using the backup brain that you.
That is my fault. Exactly.
That's on you.
I'm not using the backup Batman brain. But it's engrossing.
Whoa, Nick just shared
Look
something.
At that.
Okay.
That's so cool.
Man, what a difficult era to get into. What about Minch or Dick? I mentioned Dixon earlier, and I mentioned Alan Grant. Doug Minch was around for a little bit too. But I mean, honestly, out of Grant, Dixon, and Mike W. Barr and Doug Minch, I think Dixon was around for almost 12 to 13 years.
He was around for quite a long, yeah.
Because he was there. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Who was the writer with the Breyfogels art? Was that Alan Grant?
It was Alan Grant.
Yeah, that's Alan Grant.
Okay, that's a pretty strong run too.
It is it's post-crisis too, so it's an excellent run.
And I'm with you. I read an awful lot of that. But see, they are strong runs, but you start to ask yourself, what are the definitive stories from that? And it becomes a little hard to pick it out.
Okay.
I mean, these writers were talented because they could keep it going for so long, but they didn't really, concentrate their firepower on these stories that stand the test of time. Whereas even some of the Legends of the Dark Knight stories, I think, have stood out. Venom, for example, leaps out at you. Gothic leaps out at you.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Venom was Denny O'Neil, I think. And some stories in there, like really just you could put those out as standalones. But a lot of the Dixon stuff and the Mensch stuff, try to pick something to put as a standalone. It's a little hard.
Nightfall.
Well, okay, but Nightfall's in a different category, really. I mean, we're talking now the runs after it, yeah.
We're not talking about crappy runs. We're talking about...
That was Buttface McBoobies first Nightfall. How dare you, sir? You've insulted one of my viewers. I'm sorry about that, Mr. McBooby.
Buttface McBooby.
Can I just say we have been live right now for 2.5 hours, and I think we can do better on the likes. I think we can get those likes up.
I
would even love to see some super chats going for Omar Nearman Condition.
With Sean,
we're putting on a great show tonight.
What a great guy, Batman Venomous Peak, and it's a damn shame that book has been out of print for years too. Like,
Well,
how do we not have that reprinted when they do a Nightfall reprint?
That is a bit strange. I would love to see a Legends of the Dark Knight omnibus. I would absolutely buy that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure one will.
Yeah.
Okay. My first ever comic was either a McFarlane or Larson Spidey issue.
Okay.
What was yours, Sean? What was your very first comic book?
So the very, very first comic I ever read is going to be something that I have no clue about because it would have been like something I was given when I was a child, like
You
maybe
kid?
5
Okay.
years old. The first comic though that I remember having is Secret Wars. I got that from Universal Studios in a trade. I didn't know anything about comics, but I knew the characters. And the cover of that trade has everybody, Cap, Thor, Thing, and I was hooked. And then I found out that was the same, like that Secret Wars was the same story as in the Spider-Man animated series at the end of that show where they do Secret Wars in the series. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I couldn't believe that was from the comics. I didn't know that. So I was so obsessed with that book. If I could pull my copy out, my copy of Secret Wars is annihilated because of how many times I read it.
Nice.
Dom, what was your first comic?
The issue of Green Lantern, issue 25, the end of the Sinestro
Sinestro
Corps.
Corps? I love
Yeah,
that.
that my uncle gave me when I was in kindergarten when I visited.
I
back-
fucking hate you. Kindergarten.
God. That was,
Oh my!
like 10
That was
years ago,
yesterday.
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was like yesterday.
yesterday.
What the hell is going on here?
Dude, what's going on with Dime? What the hell?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, my uncle introduced me to the world of comics, the world of Green Lantern, and all these cool different Green Lantern Corps that were birthed out of the single explosive event of that year. And I told myself, I need to get some more of this. So every time I went back to the Philippines, I always asked my uncle if he had any more comics that he got me. And I am eternally grateful for him giving me a lot of those Jeff Johns Green Lantern issues because I read those back and forth like clockwork.
Wow, that's
Kindergarten.
wow. That's awesome. Jess, I'm afraid to ask you now after the kindergarten story of Sinestro Corps.
I actually can go put my hands on
I know you can. I remember.
the first one. It's I can't remember the issue number, but it's there's two Batman books that I remember getting. I mean, I can go get the one. It's got Penguin on the cover. It was like Batman 175 or something. I took pretty good care of it. And I know right where it is. I can go get it. But Penguin, this is back when like Penguin and Joker were not murderous criminals. They were just like bank robbing clowns in the Silver Age. But Penguin's on the cover riding this umbrella that's shooting down at the dynamic duo Bullets. And I think it's around 175. No, it was not Detective Comics 27. Blast, you bastard. Don't you dare suggest that.
Let me get the super chat really quick. Sean, I disagree. Omar has not earned a super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Josh. Lars, do you remember your first comic?
You always remember your first time. Yes. My first comic ever was John Byrne's last issue of X-Men. Uncanny X-Men 143. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And which is really funny because, in the moral panic to follow, I mean, this was the 80s, and again, my mother didn't support it. My father didn't support comics reading. And mother in particular, she would go on these rants and say how I'd surrounded myself with death. And like you're forced to defend comics, as literature. They're not just for children. But that first issue, of course, is like really kind of horrifying. I mean, it's not unlike The Shining, except with a demon, that there's this teenage girl alone in the house at Christmas, and this extremely vile, gross demon breaks into the house with clear intentions of killing her and sucking out her soul. It's not one that you want to have to defend to the moral brigade. Whereas, of course, everything after that is a little more lighthearted. So, yeah.
My first comic was Witchblade.
Oh, all right.
Witch Hunt. Fell in love with comics ever. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shane.
Sorry, Omar, did you say yours?
Uncanny 168.
Okay.
My uncle sent it to me when I was in the hospital in Peru.
Okay.
And I couldn't read English, but I could follow the pictures. But I mean, there were others.
Why would he send you that if you couldn't speak English?
Because comics weren't really that, like, I didn't even know comics were a thing down there other than like Condorito or Latin American type of comics that you would find in here and there. But I did end up finding a place that would sell like the translations with like it was like an anthology translations of them. But it was really cool. Like I think to me it was the pictures, and it was Paul Smith, of course.
Yeah.
That I was following, and then eventually, it was really cool to get it to read it in English and stuff. So, yeah, that holds a special place in my heart. I remember, like, I've got the comic next to me that I saved a lot of money for when I was 12 years old. This one. Here.
Oh, looky.
Yeah, this is a Uncanny 114 signed by Stan Lee, John Byrne, and Chris Claremont. It's the only comic I have signed by these three.
Okay.
Because it meant a lot to me. And this is the comic that I bought. I remember seeing it at a comic book store over and over again. And they had like $10 on it. And I was like, one day I'm going to buy that and find out how the X-Men died.
Well, that
and why they're still alive.
Well, that cover is haunting. I mean, I've almost wanted to get a poster,
So
of that cover, but it's haunting and sad and very moving. I'm not sure I want to have it about the place all the time. So.
Number one dime. Oh, yeah, man. Byrne didn't take over. I'm not sure I could deal with Cockrum's art for much longer. It is weird. Cockrum is one of the legendary artists when you think of X-Men. I mean, reinvented the whole thing. But there were people at the time that weren't fans of Cockrum, right? Especially when John Byrne took over, because he came in with a more realistic look to his art. It was cleaner. Than Cockrum's art style was. So I think
that Cockrum's second run is a bit underrated because his pencil work actually improves quite a lot. It's so detailed and so beautiful in parts. But yeah,
I'm a big fan. Dom, what else are you reading, buddy?
What else am I reading? I'm glad you asked. Let me see if I can pull the book back from the big list. Philip Kennedy Johnson finished off his Action Comics run with the whole team now, and DC decided to say, hey, we're going to have a whole bunch of different creators on Action Comics for like the next 2 years until we can get a solidified team. So it kind of bummed me out to see that one of my favorite writers was going to be off a book that I really liked. Then I found out, he's writing Batman and he's writing Damian Wayne for the first foreseeable time. And I gotta say, it is all, if you enjoy detective vibes and if you enjoy the heartfelt emotion, in the same way, I guess I would say that Mark Waid is kind of doing with Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne right now. I find it very interesting that he's not only gotten the Detective Comics vibe or the detective vibe back to the book because it is a detective story, but there were moments in this where I actually felt like my heart was being ripped with the way that he was writing father and son. A lot of the same father and son vibes that he was using in Superman. I think he really enjoys writing father-son relationships. I think it's something special to him. It is probably my favorite main line of the Bat book. Like we have, Batman by Chip Zdarsky, and then now it's Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb. You have Detective Comics by Tom Taylor and Mikel Janin right now, but I think this is my favorite of the main line of the Bat books. You got Javi Fernandez on the R2, who was on that Nightwing Rebirth Omni that Omar overviewed and is out today. So if you enjoyed a lot of that art in that run, it's the same artist from that. And it is very much, it's a great detective story, and it's a story that I think will tug you at the heels, and it's also Philip Kennedy Johnson's. He wants to make this his only. If he never writes a Batman book ever again, this is going to be his Batman book. So he's on the book for the foreseeable future.
And so you've got Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb on Batman, and that's a year, right?
Yeah, at 6 issues, and then they're spinning after issue 163. They're spinning it off into a separate series to make it as long as the original Hush.
That's okay, weird, but
Bizarre.
It's very weird.
Whatever. It's been okay, but this Memento story needs to end already. How long has it been going on?
Since November.
November. Okay. Have any of you read Jupiter's Legacy or any of the Mark?
Are you enjoying the Wilfredo Torres art?
I like the artwork a lot, and I thought I had read this because when I was reading it, I'm like, wait, I don't remember any of this. Then I forgot there were different Jupiter stories. There was the Jupiter Circles, the one that I read, and Jupiter's Legacy was the follow-up. So this is the new library edition from Dark Horse that contains both of Jupiter's Legacy volumes 1 and 2. They did make it into a Netflix series that unfortunately got canceled.
Did you watch that at all?
I did. I reviewed it with Amanda on the show, and it was
not great.
It was not great. It was not good.
Yeah, I wanted to love it because I thought
the
comic was
Are you a fan of the comic?
Yeah, I really like the comic.
Okay.
Some of these properties that they can spend so much money on things that ultimately aren't that great. My God.
Well, at the time, everybody was buying comic book.
No, I know, but
right,
yeah.
Everything was big. Everything was like, we got to buy it. It's going to be hot. It's going to be the new thing. And it's Mark Miller. He has a deal with Netflix.
Yeah.
Hell, look, every one of his the Miller books.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
All that Netflix logo, man. It's huge.
Yeah. Some of that's coming to a grinding halt. It's been said because Andor is coming out, and people are saying that, Andor is one of the last, or potentially for a while, one of the last big budget shows that they just open.
Who says that, Lars?
Well, I think they're probably right. I mean, because they open up the pocketbook and they spend a lot of money on Andor. But if you talk to people in Hollywood right now, the money's drying up considerably, and that's one of the reasons that Star Wars is probably shifting over to making more movies because they can afford, they can justify higher budgets on movies.
So I've heard it's the other way around. I've heard that movie theaters are what's drying up, and it seems like more and more things are going to streaming, and that's why Netflix can afford to make these billion-dollar kind of deals.
Well, I mean, yes.
And now that Disney Plus finally made money last year, they're able to now expand on that.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's true that there's some concern about movie theater attendance because in a world where you can just watch movies at home whenever, do you really want the hassle of going to a movie theater? Some people do. I still love it, but that's a problem. On the other hand, no, there is a definite freezing of funding going on, and because so many shows have sunk because they spent stupid amounts of money, and the viewership just did not justify that expense. Chaos, starring Jeff Goldblum, 1 season. Time Bandits, 1 season. Again and again and again. There's concern.
Time Bandits was a bad idea.
Doctor
is phenomenal.
Yeah, but also that TV show was really good, I have to say.
Really?
It was. Oh, I loved it. Oh yeah, I did watch it. There's concern that Doctor Who's going to continue, but is it going to continue on Disney? I mean, they have been, the amount of money they're spending on these things have to demand massive audiences. And previously they could go, we're going to spend whatever it takes to get our market share up. Well, those days are over, and now they're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be spending $300 million on the Acolyte or whatever the number is.
See, Netflix, I don't know when you mean decades. I know Netflix has been making a killing they were the #1 streaming service because I remember when they gave money to, what is his name? Ryan, the guy that did Last Jedi and Looper.
Ryan Johnson,
right? Without even writing and without seeing a sequel to Knives Out, they gave him almost $1 billion to work on these movies. And I was like, where the hell is this movie coming from? So then somebody showed me how much they make a month. And it is insane how much.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Netflix has the luxury. They do make some big bets, and some of those do pay off, absolutely. But they make a whole bunch of other ones that don't. Again, like Chaos.
But they can afford to do that, right? Not every streaming service can.
Well, I know exactly, but no. Overall, the money's drying up. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. The money's drying up, and because they're like, we cannot afford these just staggering enormous budgets for the returns we're getting. Now, again, someone in the feed's mentioning House of the Dragon. Yeah, absolutely. There are some shows they can still do that. Absolutely positive. I'm not saying no show is going to have a big budget, but I'm saying it's going to be done a lot more cautiously. Yeah.
I am too, Kane. I love the Glass Onion. I thought it was excellent.
Oh, Glass Onion was so good.
Yeah.
Knives Out was
I agree.
excellent. Glass Onion was really good too, and there's no physical release for that.
No.
Yeah, I hate to see Apple not throwing money around because a lot were sticking to the wall and falling off. Yeah, I know that Netflix can't really afford it.
Yeah, Electric State's a pretty good example. Yeah, again, Netflix is now profitable. Netflix actually can, have some dogs.
They've been profitable for a long time.
Yeah, no,
Disney Plus just became profitable last year.
Netflix actually can take the hit.
HBO and now Paramount, of course, merged, but it's like HBO and Peacock that are kind of struggling right now, and then of course Apple. Max is going to begin charging password sharing or something. That's when you know you're hurting.
I'm sorry. Yes, in the feed, someone is pointing out that I contradicted myself. Yeah, I'm not saying that Endor is the last big budget show.
Show it, Lord. Show it, Jazz.
We found it.
Look at that ridiculous cover. No wonder.
This is what turned me into who I am. And then,
I love it. That's awesome.
here's the other one.
What do you got?
This is the second one
Oh,
that I got.
that's great.
The first appearance of Gaggy. And then,
Dude, that character becomes a huge character in the pages of Grant Morrison's Batman.
I know.
You have his first appearance.
And then the only appearance of Catwoman in a green suit.
Wow.
There we
How
go.
much is that worth? That's
But
got to be worth at least $2.
It's purple cover, and I kept it in pretty good shape for a little kid.
Yeah, for a kid, man. Gaggy is creepy AF. I agree.
Yes. Gaggy.
Oh my gosh. Lars has no idea. Netflix
Well,
just reported first quarter.
Again. Okay, I'm
Holy
not.
crap, $2.9 billion.
Yeah, and that's
A lot
great.
of money.
Okay, hold on.
It's a lot of money, baby.
And that's great if
Lars.
you're hold on. And that's great if you're Netflix. But if you're most other, I didn't mean to speak quite as unilaterally as all that. That's great if you're Netflix, but if you're most other studios, the money's right. Because again, the people who made Andor just came out and said this. They just came out and said,
that's Disney, right?
yes, they just came out and said, isn't it great that we were able to make Andor when the budgets were as high as they were, so we could make a show that has this level budget, because Star Wars, they're dialing back on that hugely. So yeah, Netflix is so massive, it can take the hit with some losers, but most other studios, I talk to people in Hollywood. I know people in Hollywood, and they're like, the money is drying up. It just is. They cannot afford the massive budget shows that they have been.
Or are they talking about
Both.
I don't think they're talking about streaming when they say
Both.
money's drying up. I
Both.
think they're talking about theaters. Like, unfortunately, because I don't want theaters to dry up, but it seems like, you have people that like being at home and the convenience of watching movies from home. Soga season 2, just 8 episodes. We'll have a budget of $160 million.
And I
That's
think
absurd.
and the studios are increasingly getting of the opinion that can't continue. It just can't.
Where's the
I'm gonna
money
say
going?
for how that show looked, and I'm sure people will be upset about this. For how that show looked and how a lot of these shows look, I don't understand where the money is going. A lot of these shows look dreadful.
Yeah, the Acolyte in particular. When you saw the final price tag on the Acolyte, and that's not that the Acolyte looks bad exactly, but you are sort of like, where the hell did the money go? Yeah.
Dude, I'm so excited for Avatar 3. I love those stupid movies. I don't care what anyone says.
Well, you talked me into leaving the house and seeing
Avatar
with
2.
snow buddies. No, I'm Dinner with Snow Bunnies, man.
Yeah, man, there's somebody in Sinners is good, dude.
I can't wait.
Even
I'm gonna have to leave the house.
Yeah, even Netflix, by the way, and we return to like how profitable Netflix. Even Netflix is like not shy about killing something if it like again chaos. If it costs too much and the audience doesn't justify it, they're like, "You're gone." And other studios are just like, "Maybe we shouldn't do that in the first place." So yeah, it's a tough time. It's a tough time.
All right, so streaming services in just the United States in 2024 took in $52 billion.
Sure, but what was it?
A lot of money.
Yeah, yes, but what was their What was their costs?
$22 million.
Well, yeah, yeah.
You asked the question, I answered. Whoa, $52 billion? That's like Austin Powers type of made up money. What the hell? $52 billion?
Yeah, but I mean, you know, Netflix is
You were
doing
a fan of
great.
Chaos, Lars?
I loved Chaos.
What was?
Oh my
What
god!
was that anime that was so great on Netflix? That bar.
Dungeon?
Oh, and not Andor.
It started with an A.
Yeah, it's based on the stupid League of Legends game.
Yeah,
Arcane, baby.
Arcane.
Arcane.
I love that show.
Arcane. I did too. I loved it. I watched it all the way through. But that thing cost something crazy.
Yeah, and it's not anime, but that's okay, Jess. You get a pass.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
What was it?
It's a foreign card. I think it's a French animation company that did that.
Oh,
If
okay.
I'm not mistaken. But beautiful. That's probably one of the most beautifully animated things I've seen. Like, Great Gonzo, I want you to time yourself out. Cowboy Bebop live action is the best anime. Just time yourself. Put yourself in timeout. God, I have Cowboy Bebop live action. Arcane season 2 cost an estimated $250 million.
Wow.
Well, if streaming services are bringing in $52 billion, that's okay.
250 mil. Wow.
Now, see, you can see where the money is going for that one. But
Yep.
what Sean was saying about where the money is going for all these other series that are, you know, cost that much money. Yeah, absolutely. That's what was the
And by the way, there are a lot of people in Hollywood saying exactly what I'm saying because like Taika Waititi when he was talking about Time Bandits.
thank you, Ted. You know that guy, Sean?
Oh
You know
yeah,
Ted?
oh yeah.
Sean, good
Thank you,
people.
Ted.
Yeah, when he was talking about Time Bandits, Taika Waititi said, "Yeah, it was canceled because it cost too much." Period. The end. Yeah.
Blue-Eyed Samurai on Netflix is a must-watch. Oh, it's excellent. It is. Have you all seen that one? It's only 6 episodes. It came out in 2023, I think. It's one of the best shows I saw in 2023.
Was
6
it anime
episodes.
or some French cartoon?
It's a French animation too. I think it's a big.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, dude,
Okay.
it's good. It is good, and in English. So you don't have to watch in subtitles. It takes time for services to become profitable. For example, it took DirecTV 6 years, Dish 9 years. What streaming services are going through is nothing new. So perhaps,
True. Yeah.
perhaps, like I said, see, I want it to be the other way around. I want it to go back to the movie theaters because I love the experience of movie theaters. Because I don't know about you guys, the problem with having a streaming service for me is that my goddamn phone. It's like Schrodinger's like email or text message. As soon as something beeps or whatever, it goes off. Like I gotta check it. I don't do that in the theaters. The only place I let go and I just separate myself from my phone.
My friend tried to do that once in a theater and he got booed out of his way. It was the opening day of Into the Spider-Verse. And he pulled out his phone like for 10 straight minutes.
You have
Dude,
to go.
I smacked my kid's phone off her hand one time about 3 years ago. I'm like, not on my time. Like,
That's why you got to
crazy.
go to Alamo. Alamo has the policy. If you do that, you are gonna get yanked out of the theater.
plus
That's the best
popcorn.
place. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the only reason I go back to movie theaters, besides if a friend wants to watch a movie, is like I eat 2 large popcorn buckets with butter every single time when I watch a movie, and it's the only time I can cheat away to do that.
Jess, do you not remember how old he said he was? He
Yeah,
was
I know.
Can you imagine eating 2 buckets?
2 popcorn buckets. It's
And
like
then
a
he
mess-
Goes to the doctor the next day. Your cholesterol shot up.
And then he goes and crushes 2 dozen Krispy Kremes.
It's good stuff, guys. Like, don't
I'm
blame
not saying
me
it's
for the
not.
food being good.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm jealous that you can put that stuff away.
I'm with you, Dom.
One of my students
Thank
thought
you,
it was
Sean.
really important to give to me that I have the Lord of the Rings popcorn bucket from that film in December.
Oh,
Um,
that's show it.
Oh, the,
Yes,
Yes.
that's so cool.
No, it is cool. It is cool.
Does it have
And-
anything sexual about it, like the Dune popcorn buckets?
No, alas, it does not have a maw on top, or Wolverine looking like he's.
I have that Wolverine
First.
bucket, Lars. I got myself one of those during opening day.
Oh, okay. Did you enjoy eating out of it?
Dude, it was funny because the person like right next to me asked me how much the popcorn bucket was and kept staring at me eating the popcorn, like putting my hand in the mouth for like the next 2 minutes. And the person asked me, "Are you sane?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" I was like, I can never think of any instances where I would be eating from that thing publicly, much less so in a movie theater.
No, it's
Well,
not like
he's
it's
not
meant to,
you, Dom.
it's not like it's meant to eat in your own bedroom. I mean,
Let's see. Movies moving away from the theaters is a result of bad decisions from studio execs during the COVID era, essentially wiping away the window between theater releases and home video. Yeah. I was just talking about Sinners, right? And I think Bruce is the one that told me when Sinners is going to be streaming, which is like in May. So there isn't that big window like we used to have. Now in today's world, streaming services are becoming more profitable. Traditional TV is dying. For one example, Dish Network loses money every quarter.
okay,
Now,
that is
$31
true.
billion in debt.
Okay,
I
that
thought DirecTV bought Dish.
that is true, except the degree to which streaming services are becoming profitable is a bit debatable. Streaming is not actually a great way of making money. It has some immediate, like if nothing else, the fact that it costs the companies every single time you watch something is a bit of a problem. So yes, I agree. No, traditional TV is dying. There's no doubt about that. But it's being replaced with you're taking away a model that had worked pretty well ultimately and replacing it with something that hasn't exactly been proven to work great. Netflix's success aside,
All of the 50-year-olds in my comic shop when I worked there, Lars, all told me the same thing. They gave me the same rant about like how streaming was just like. I'm sorry.
well,
But I've heard that conversation, I think, a billion times over while working at the shop.
Well, I mean, no, and maybe they'll
I get
turn
it, though.
around. Maybe
Yeah.
they'll turn around, and every streaming service will be propelling cash out of their hind ends. But it's a
Fiscal
different
media for
model.
life.
And it's got some inherent problems that traditional media didn't.
Well, I don't think the problems are just financial, right? Because when you look at storytelling and creativity, these shows now, a lot of them have these massive budgets where you don't have to be crafty, right?
Yeah.
You look at shows from prior eras, they had to use real sets, real props, real stuff. Now everything is CG. But on top of that, for writers, for production people behind the scenes, when you're doing 6 to 10 episodes, you don't really get to sit and live in that world, train your craft, hone your craft, get skilled. Think about shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or 22 episode runs. These people were really grinding, and some of the people who run Hollywood now, from a creative standpoint, those are the people who were in the trenches 20 years ago. That doesn't exist anymore. 6 to 10 episodes and out, your show gets canceled. We never hear from you again.
Yeah,
It is crazy how we've gone away from the 22 to 26 episode format that we used to have for television, right? I think every season, out of every TV show, had 22 to 26 episodes. And it's not like, what is it now? I think like 6 to 10, if that.
6, 10, maybe 12, but no, and the network model was not perfect either, because let's face it, in every network show there was always some chaff episodes.
Sure.
The people making Star Trek Next Generation admitted that they were making 26 episodes a year, and eventually you get handed a script that is kind of shit, but you have to make it because you're making 26 episodes a year. 65 He-Man episodes a season. So the Netflix model had some, redundancy built into it, or did I say Netflix network model had some redundancy built into it?
And even anime is like that, because I was watching. I was really surprised. I was watching some new anime, like what was it, Ranma, and it was only like 10 to 12 episodes. I was like, wait a second, it's over. There was another one, Delicious in Dungeon, I think. And my brother was like, "Oh yeah, they go on breaks now," and I was like, "What? When did this start?" It's like they're borrowing models from, like the way the American style was when the mid-season break happened. But then we're now borrowing the British model of the series, right? When they were like 6 to 10 episodes a series. Streaming services that are now profitable: Netflix, Paramount, Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and almost there's Max.
Which is
disasters are-
Well, and
so
again,
crazy to think about because they laid off a lot of the people who I like personally liked on ESPN Plus. A lot of those guys are gone now. But it's crazy to me that like that is now a profitable series. But go ahead, Lars.
well,
Sorry.
both things can be true. I mean, the streaming services can be improving their positions. I don't know that Paramount is that profitable. But the streaming services can be improving their positions and still realizing, hey, we cannot be spending the money in these shows that we have been. I mean, Star Wars and Marvel, they have clearly made the decision. We cannot be spending the money on these shows that we have been. Period. The end. So both things can be true.
And somebody asked earlier, and I'm curious, who's everyone's favorite Bond actor? This is a great question. I love this question. Dom.
Judi Dench. Oh, you mean playing Bond?
Just
Trying
playing
to think
Bond.
of the Bond movies that
I thought you were
watched
gonna go
my
with
dad
Peter
and have
Sellers.
liked. You know, can we skip? I'll come back to me. Lars, what's your favorite?
Favorite actors played James Bond? I would have to admit it is Daniel Craig. However, in my heart, because I grew up with him, Roger Moore. There's all sorts of people like Sean Connery. But it depends on what you grew up with. And I grew up, to me, in my heart, it is Roger Moore. But Daniel Craig is the one that really is my favorite. Yeah.
Sean Connery. But I agree. I agree with him. I love Daniel Craig even more, and I worshipped Sean Connery as 007. But I think the writing and acting and everything else in those Daniel Craig movies is just stellar. Yeah. So I'm Daniel Craig.
I've seen exactly one Bond movie.
Oh,
What was it?
and
That was Snow Bunny.
Oh,
They
he
need
had
to put
plenty of
that
snow
out.
bunnies in those movies.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, I'm pitching Idris Elba as the next Bond because
yeah, absolutely.
I
Unless
want
he's
to
too
talk
old.
snow bunnies.
But have you read though what he had to say when he was up for it?
I
was-
haven't.
It's
Which-
awful.
which
It's
Bond-
awful, John.
Which
What
Bond
Idris
is awful?
Elba was put through in social media, nobody should have to go through.
Oh,
The guy's an incredibly distinguished actor and fantastic, and the stuff that he just got dragged on social media, and my heart went out to him. The fact that he couldn't just be judged on his acting. I think he would have made a great Bond. I don't even know if his heart's in it anymore.
Probably not. We live in a shit world.
man. I got to go with Roger Moore. That was my childhood, and I'm with Lars. I'm surprised you guys like Daniel Craig that much. I think he was good. My issue with his Bond is that there's a cheesiness to Bond that I thought Roger Moore and Sean Connery could pull off while still being good looking and charming. I don't know what it was. Maybe Daniel Craig was too good looking that I didn't think he pulled it off as well. But yeah, Roger Moore. I really liked him. I thought he was great. Anyone here like Radiohead? Wow, what a random question, Fernando. I did
Love
like,
Radiohead, Fernando. Love Radiohead.
Daniel Craig only had 2 great Bond movies, Casino and Skyfall was excellent.
Yeah.
Skyfall was excellent. I like that.
Bruce is wrong there.
But wait, how many did he have? He had 5, right?
5.
Casino
5.
Royale.
Yeah. Quantum of Solace.
That
Which
was
is fine.
Which one was that? Is that with Javier?
That was the second one.
No, Javier is the third one. Skyfall is the third one.
Skyfall was excellent, man.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah. My memory of this gets a little weird because I was at a point in my life I'd missed Casino Royale, and then the Quantum of Solace came out, and we're like, oh, it's a Bond movie. Let's just go to Bond. And it's like, it did help to kind of know what had gone on in the first movie.
Casino Royale
it was a follow-up.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Craig was too dark and gritty. Where was the fun?
Well,
that's
true,
that's
but
what I kind of like. And don't get me wrong, I think it works, and I like this movie. Sean, what was the one Bond movie you saw?
I'm pretty sure it was Skyfall. Is that the one with not Javier Bardem? No, not Javier Bardem. Who's the actor in that movie? He ends up he's like a returning villain, I think, and he's got a messed up face, I believe. Does that sound? That doesn't sound.
Yes. He's burned his face away or his teeth are missing because of cyanide.
That's the one.
That's
I saw.
Skyfall. That's
Okay,
Skyfall.
yeah.
Skyfall.
That's the one you saw. Yeah. Sky, that scene, man, in the house. Who will be? Where you been, man? We asked you a question. You weren't even here. Timothy Dalton's The Living Daylights was excellent. I like that movie. He himself as Bond was.
I was a huge fan of the Doom Patrol TV show. And
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Timothy
man.
Dalton as the chief was just perfect.
So good. And
Everybody in that show.
He was good in the episode of Doctor Who. Those 2 episodes with David Tennant. He's just a great actor. He was good in Shaun of the Dead. Not Shaun of the Dead. Hot Fuzz. Yeah, Dalton was one of the Time Lords. At the end.
Sorry. Yes, he played. Yes, he played Rostalon. That's right. Yes.
I mean, I could pull you out the book I wrote.
No. Yes. No. I know. Yes. No. I know. Yes. He wasn't. He was good. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No. I mean, Dalton's always good.
No, he's a
Omar?
great actor. Yes, boss.
I think I'm going to be honest with you here. I don't think I have a favorite Bond actor because I just don't have many memories about the movies that I've watched.
So did your dad watch them? And then
My dad watches them. I don't. It's not my thing. I don't think.
Radiohead was supposed to do a Bond theme. This is really interesting. I don't know if that's BS or real because I never know with RVP. Anybody excited for the hardcovers of Junkyard JJBA?
JoJo's Big
Adventure.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? You call it Big Adventure?
I was thinking of Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure.
Had a big adventure.
Pee Wee had the big adventure.
He was on a different kind of adventure.
For Pee Wee.
Arjun, there's over 100 people in the chat, man. I gotta pick and choose. Not everybody's comment. I'm sure you had some bangers, and I picked a lot of yours too. What's a writer artist team that you would like to see on a character for a mini series or ongoing? All right, here we go. I know you all think about this all the time. Living or dead? Would it matter? Yeah. Living or dead or living? Living.
I think
living. Okay.
Living.
Let's see. On a character. Oh my God. Yeah. Let's do it. Not Warren. What's his name? Alan Moore with Mark Silvestri on the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. So
wow.
I want Alan Moore to just blow my mind.
That's a bold choice.
You didn't see this shit coming, Omar. And I'm like, holy shit.
He didn't actually see it coming.
Yeah.
I did not know Squirrel Girl was.
If Alan Moore is writing it, she'll be in a relationship with a squirrel, and it'll just be.
She was
weird.
A squirrel the whole time, dude. What are you talking about? This is Alan Moore, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. I didn't understand any of this. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
What about you guys?
Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, Captain America.
Solid. Frank, they actually worked on Avengers together, and they had a good cap, man.
Yeah, man.
Gary Frank's cap is also pretty well drawn, I will say.
Yeah, he's a great artist.
Yeah,
Lars, what about you?
I don't devote a lot of brain time to thinking about this.
Okay.
Whatever Grant Morrison writes next, because I see that Grant is coming back. Is it coming back to Batman?
They're coming back on Batman, and they've also got another an unannounced Quietly project. They've been those two have been working on for the last 2 years. So
okay. Whatever Grant Morrison does next, awesome. Whatever Alan Davis does next, awesome. As artists go. Yeah, I don't know.
Mark Waid's in the same book as you, Lars.
What?
Mark Waid's in the same boat as you.
Okay.
For those two, yeah.
Yeah.
Dom, what about you? What do you want to see?
I would like to see Scott Snyder and Jock on Nightwing.
Oh,
okay.
You got a little bit of that in Black Mirror.
Yeah, but there's a part of me that's like, man, I want to see like them either doing like maybe like a 3-issue Black Label book. It's like the magazine size in the same way that we got Jock's Batman book that came out a couple of years ago. I don't know. I just think that they'd rock with it. I really like Scott's voice for Dick Grayson. I think they'd be a perfect fit, considering like how many times those two have been together doing a book. I'd like to see that.
Okay. Jess, last but not least.
Tom King, Dan Mora on Zatanna.
Wow.
Okay. That might actually happen. Out of all our choices, I don't see Alan Moore ever doing that. All right.
When is Mark Waid letting Dan Mora go, though, is the question.
In all seriousness, though, if I would say Paul Dini.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of who his artist would be on Daredevil, though. I would love to see Paul Dini.
Bruce Timm.
That would be cool. I was actually thinking like Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird with Paul.
Oh, wow.
That would be really freaking cool.
Omar, if I also may, I know that like we have heard from Comics Pro that DC and Marvel are doing a 2-0 Tango crossover at some point later in the year.
They have.
I actually kind of want to see Dan Slott tackle a Spider-Man Superman like 1-shot or 2-shot. I actually think like that would lend itself to be super fun. Maybe put Jorge Jimenez on for one of the issues because he most recently did the artwork for the Superman or the Summer of Superman special that came out earlier this month. I think he would be really, really good on that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'd like to see Morrison on JLA and Avengers. That would be
awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe
JLA
JLA and X-Men. That would even be
okay.
that would be cool. Yeah, they've been really hush-hush about things. I know a couple of things that haven't been announced, but I don't know what books they are. I just know some of the creators on them, but that's it. So I'm curious when all these announcements, I assume maybe San Diego Comic-Con, they're going to drop some big announcements. What about you, Lars? What Marvel DC creator would you like to see like a mashup?
God, again, I don't.
Jonathan Hickman on Legion of Superheroes?
Ooh.
Right?
That could go either way. Well, there was some intimation that some of what Hickman fused into X-Men had been conceptualized for.
Yeah, it was from that and the Frontier book that never came out.
Which one?
He did a book called Frontier for Image. Some of the like ideas in that eventually made their way to House of X Powers Attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about this sort of thing.
Nobody does. That's
why.
why.
That's why we're putting you on spot.
I don't agree, Jess. Plenty of people spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Not on this panel. You think I've been thinking about Tom King doing Zatanna?
That would be fun.
Yes, you
That
have.
was me looking around at my books.
Why?
He's been thinking about Dan Mora drawing Zatanna, though.
But it's true.
Mirka Andolfo drawing Zatanna.
I'm here for that.
Jeez.
I'm here for that.
Mirka Andolfo Black Label's Zatanna book.
Yeah.
Please.
Actually, I would give Christopher Priest a shot at X-Men.
Oh, okay.
That would actually be pretty interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He did an awesome Spider-Man versus Wolverine, man.
He did.
That's one of my favorite comics. I love that book. He could kill it, man. The guy's still a great writer.
Yeah.
Sean,
Christopher Priest on X-Men or Daredevil. Weirdly, I think that would be very good.
what about you, Sean?
So I'm desperate to see them do creator swaps. So I want to see Jonathan Hickman and Dan Mora do a DC Justice League book, while Mark Waid and Pepe Larraz do a DC Avengers book, and they can cross over or whatever. But I would love to see that.
I like the Pepe Larraz. I like that. Yeah.
His art in Amazing Spider-Man #1 was really good, I thought.
Did you check out issue 2 yet?
I did.
I thought it was good, man. I don't know. People are saying it's bad, but I'm into it.
It's
Wait,
a
what
really,
are
really
you
well
talking
drawn
about?
book.
Amazing Spider-Man #2 that dropped.
I heard
Right.
it was solid. I heard they're really good.
By whom?
Joe
Who's
Kelly.
right?
Oh, Joe Kelly and Pepe Larraz. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
And John Romita Jr. for some pages.
Yeah.
That guy cannot break away from Spider-Man. Priest said he had interest in Iron Man. I think that'd be cool. If Priest is writing Iron Man, then you better get Daniel Warren Johnson to draw it, because that would be so kick-ass.
Daniel Warren Johnson writing and drawing Iron Man.
Give me
Absolutely.
That's the money ticket.
Yeah. By the way,
sorry.
It's been a great time. I have to get to bed here.
You got to go and pre-order your Switch. I understand.
Yes, I do. Yes, absolutely right.
Same here.
Thank you for, thank you for understanding.
But go ahead, Lars. You go ahead and sign off early.
Yep. Just Lars Pearson, publisher and editor-chief of Norweigian Press, formerly of Wizard Magazine. And with Lance Parkin, I co-write a history. Thank you, James. Which is the definitive Doctor Who timeline. And we put out a number of Doctor Who books, including About Time, which puts every Doctor Who story in the social and political context in which it was made.
Okay.
Yeah, berserk.
Thank you,
Lars. It has been a lovely time, but it's like getting late here. So have a good night. Have a good night.
It's getting. Where do you live?
Good night, buddy.
Now we're behind. All right, Lars, go to bed. All right. He's gonna go and pre-order his Switch too. No, he is. Sorry to possibly change the subject, but what about the same definitive runs on Superman? Definitive run on Superman. That's a tough one because there's been so many great writers that I like their runs on Superman.
Superman's also changed, right? I mean, you want to talk in terms of the character. I mean, I'm reading like all the stuff from the Silver Age, and it's so different from the Superman that we have today. It's crazy.
Dom, I think it's different than the Superman we had 20 years ago.
I agree. I completely agree with you.
The introduction of John really changed that character, and I think it was the best way to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the definitive run to me is still one of my favorite Superman comics ever. Is that Tomasi Gleason run? I just what Sean said, the introduction of John, the marriage to Lois, it changed the dynamic completely, and its offshoot, Super Sons, which was a blast. It just made Superman after New 52. It wasn't good until the very, very end, and Superman Rebirth just came out of the chute great and kept it great for however many issues it was, 50 issues or whatever. I think that's my favorite Superman run of all time. Except for that Kryptonite Virus X one in 1968 that I had to hunt down.
I was gonna go for probably my childhood again, which is like the John Byrne, and then some of the Triangle era. I really like that era with Wheezy and Dan Jurgens and Jerry Ordway. It's hard to top something for that long, but I really like Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason Superman. That was so good. So good. Absolutely. Yeah. So
I think
no.
That's
a good book. I'm gonna get that absolute.
And hit that like button theme.
That's right.
Jeff Johns' run is excellent too. I'm a huge fan of Jeff Johns' run on Superman. All the way to New Krypton, got the absolutes of Jeff Johns' Superman.
Yeah.
He needs to continue printing that run. Or just give us an Omni.
Yeah.
For someone my age, John Byrne was the first one to make Superman readable. Up until that point, that was the end. I mean, you had the end of the pre-crisis era, and then John Byrne kicked off the post-crisis. So it was kind of like, it was Batman Year One to Superman, reintroducing all the characters. Wheezy doesn't get enough credit. I think a lot of the writers she edited give her a lot of love. Like Chris Claremont has always said that his X-Men run would not have been the same without her as one of the editors. Detective by Tomasi, what did you all think of?
I really like the first arc, but honestly, don't tell Peter this.
I will. Go ahead.
Okay. I only like his books if they're illustrated by Patrick Gleason or Doug Mahnke. I've actually found a lot of his work to be okay. I think his voice for Bruce is fine, But after that Arkham Knight arc, literally the second arc of the book, I just could not get myself into reading that run. And I found a lot of the stories like old, very tropey and boring. It wasn't for me. I'm sorry.
Dom, are you checking out Peter's Ghost Machine work at all?
I am. I do like those books. Maybe I'm talking more in terms of the DC stuff.
Sure.
I like Rockefellers a lot. And Hornsby and Halo is fun. It's not my favorite, but it's very fun. Yeah, I'm just thinking like in terms of DC output. Yeah, I don't know. It definitely was not for me.
Okay.
I thought it started out really strong with mythology.
Yeah.
Oh, the anniversary thing, the date.
994 to 999, baby.
Yeah. And then I just thought the rest, I think I got my hopes set up really high after mythology, and I like it. I liked it enough to get the omnibus, but I understand what Dom's saying. Mythology was the peak. It peaked really early, and then I thought it was just good to decent to good for the rest of the way.
Did you like it more than Mariko Tamaki's run, Dom?
I like Mariko Tamaki's run a lot. I think.
What about Ron V? Where does it stand with Ron V and Mariko Tamaki?
I think in terms of my favorite runs of Detective in the past 9 years, gosh, Ron V's at the top for me. Then Mariko Tamaki. Or sorry, no. V, Tynan, Tamaki, Tomasi, and then the fill-ins in between Tynan and Tomasi.
I'm with that. I'm with that.
So Ron V takes the top. Like,
Yeah.
see, I was reading Ron V's run in trade paperbacks, and I thought the first two trades were really slow.
Mhm.
Like it was slow pace. And
Yeah.
a lot of my viewers told me that it got a lot better, and it kept getting, it kept building up to something bigger. But he's getting an Omni, so I'm just waiting for the Omni to come out. Yeah. Thank you, Bruce. Chat. Superman pre-crisis was just atrocious.
There are some of those stories I've actually found to be really enjoyable despite the differences of it all. It's weird because like if you would have told me like 3 years ago, I would have said like, man, don't read Superman Silver Age. Maybe it's just with me experiencing a lot of the Silver Age stories for the first time, but I actually find that there's a lot of there's just a lot of fun to be had in them. I don't know what, maybe it's just the tone of that era, but there are some Silver Age Superman stories that I've actually come around to enjoy. I most recently read the I know it's not a Superman story, but it's the Giant Turtle Man issue
Jimmy Olsen?
with Jimmy Olsen, and it is crazy. It's wicked, but I'm like, this is kind of fun. I'm actually enjoying myself with it. So I'm learning a lot of like, okay, like these are going to be all one-offs. They're not like, they're not like long sprawling runs or whatever. But I just think like the adage of the time, there's something that I just found to be super enjoyable in there. So I don't know.
Mirroring hearing how Simonson would have been the writer post-crisis Superman, but they went with Byrne instead.
Me too.
I really
Me
would have
too.
wanted to see Walter Simonson.
You have no idea how to spirit.
That would have been so different. Right? That would have been so different. But Byrne, I mean, I do love Byrne because he's the one that got me into Superman. Ron V's Detective is a detective story that leans into Morrison's stuff and feels like an update to it, also soaked in Eldritch horror. So you haven't read any of it, Jess, because you're also collected editions. You don't have any other trades of that or
I have all of Tamaki's. I have all of Ram V's.
So you're gonna get the Omni, right?
No, I already have standard hardcovers.
You haven't read them yet. You haven't. You'll be bigger.
So I'm in my catching up with. I'm all caught up with Superman, and now I'm trying to catch up with Batman, and it's the Tiny Onion stuff that I'm getting through now, and I'm gonna have to start reading Tamaki's Detective because it ties in. Fear State ties into Batman. So I'm going to have to start reading that alongside the Tiny Onion stuff.
Yeah.
Superman, as it was greenlit and made, still boggles my mind.
I still really like what Grant Morrison did with Superman Blue. Honestly, what Tomasi did in Super Sons with the Superman Red and Blue concept with John, or in Adventures of the Super Sons, I had a lot lot of those issues. Like, I will say, for as dumb, as dumb as the idea is, I've actually found that like creators after it have found ways to make me enjoy those stories. So,
have you read? I think Jess has read Bone, and
Bone is awesome. Yeah, I love Jeff Smith's book. Are you like? It's one of my favorite non-Big Two books.
Sean, how about you? Do you like Bone?
I haven't read it yet.
Dude, we need to do an old reader, new reader on Bone. Then
let's do it. Bring it on.
Because that's definitely one that you need to read, and it's a quick read. Honestly, they just did a Kickstarter for like hardcover editions of them, but the all-in-one, like you can find that pretty easy too. I'm all caught up on Superman and Action Comics. Need to catch up with Batman, Superman, World's Finest.
Same.
Superman Blue plus Heroes Reborn got me to go to the comic shop every week as a kid. You need a T-shirt, Adam, that says "I survived Superman Blue and Heroes Reborn." And anybody that starts bitching about comics these days, you can be like, "Hey, we survived this. Everything's gonna be okay." Like, oh man, what a bad era. 30 minutes until, oh my God, you have no idea how much like
no, I'm actually legitimately scared.
Best Buy app just crashed. Like my Best Buy is gone.
GameStop is gonna be my first, at least online. But I remember calling Omar about this a couple weeks ago. I said I need a I missed out on an entire console of Nintendo gaming. Like, you have no idea how it feels. Like, my brother got a Switch One. I did not have a Switch One, but I was still able to play games because, we tag team along. And anyways, I missed out on a whole generation, and it feels weird because I grew up with the DS and the Wii and all of those Mario, Zelda games, you name it. I cannot miss out on another generation. Like, I do not care how big the price is. I don't care if you only have like games. I want it. I need it. And I it makes me mad that anyways, that's it.
I hope you get it, dude.
I do too. I support you.
Thank you, guys.
I hope you get it too, Dom. I sent you links where you can get them. Like, you got 4 options because
I did, and
Amazon still has beef with Nintendo, so they ain't no pre-order.
I'm gonna be waiting outside on like GameStop tomorrow.
I think GameStop starts pre-orders at 11 tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm. Or no, they start tonight at 9. That's what my friend told me.
Wait, I can go get in line at my GameStop?
Yeah, I'm doing that tomorrow.
Are you serious? Rob's ass told me that they're only doing it online.
No. Literally, the day that I called you I think it was that Saturday. I went over to my GameStop and I asked them, "Hey, do you have any information on the pre-orders of the thing?" And she told me the whole deal, and she said, "We're gonna have them in stock. If you want to wait outside, feel free to."
Well, so how come you're not? Oh. Well, isn't it in like half an hour? Why are you still here? Shouldn't you be in your GameStop? Getting in line?
No, I mean like tomorrow morning. Like, it doesn't open at midnight.
Oh, I thought you meant it open at midnight.
Oh, I wish.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I thought we were dealing with a midnight.
Oh, I'm going off on my buddy Rob. I'm like, you mother effer, you told me that we couldn't get in line at midnight. Now I have to reply and be like, that's on me. My bad. I misunderstood something that was going on. Whoops. Okay. Sean, are you a gamer?
I am a huge gamer, yes.
What do you like to play, man?
Boy, right
besides
now,
the piano back there.
Besides my masterful piano playing,
Yeah.
I am neck deep in a replay of Final Fantasy X. Don't mind me that.
Dude, that's my wife's favorite Final. She has a tattoo of whatever.
I didn't know that Melanie had a tattoo.
Yeah.
This is the first
she
time
loves Final Fantasy X. Like,
really
her celebrity crush is what was that dude's name? Arjun. That dude. Yeah, she loves that dude. She loves that dude, man.
To not talk about a game that dropped 20 years ago, my favorite game series right now is the God of War stuff, the current era God of War games. I love those.
Man,
God of War
Mario
1
Kart,
crushed me.
$80. How much would GTA 6 be? $100. You know,
And it's still going to
can
make
see that.
$500 billion, no matter what the price is.
I never got past the damn bells in God of War. God, that made me mad.
dude, I knew I was getting old in God of War, the original one on the PS2. When there's a moment in God of War where this dude is in a cage, like he's trapped in a cage, and the way to get past this point is where you have to drag this dude in a cage and sacrifice him to a pillar of fire. And you're pushing the dude, right? And the whole time he's begging. He's like, please, I got a wife and kids at home. And I remember like talking to this video game character, like, man, I'm so sorry. I can't get past this point. I can't. I'm so sorry, dude. Or like, and then I was playing like Call of Duty and you have to like break the dog's necks. And I'm like, I think I'm getting too old for video games. I'm starting to feel like real bad about these fictional characters.
Dude, when I was a kid, I used to play Grand Theft Auto and drive properly. Like I didn't speed past red lights. I wouldn't run people over. I played right.
Oh my gosh, Sean, I was the complete opposite. Like my parents did not let me play those types of games. So when I got my hands on my cousin's PSP, which he had GTA on, I told myself, you know what? I'm just gonna have the most fun that I can think of. And then my cousin Tattle told me to my mom. He was like, "Hey, Dom is playing games that feature killing in them. You should ground him."
He ratted you out. What a jerk.
Yeah, so yeah, I ended up like getting grounded for the rest of the day and killed my experience.
On all sites right now, including GameStop, they all say 12 a.m. Thursday.
That's in half an hour.
That's in half an hour. What's up, Omni Nation? How you doing, dude?
Hey, Omni Nation. Good to see you, man.
Hey, Day, the man.
I am almost 40, and I have no issue mugging people in Cyberpunk. Haha. Well,
Wow.
Josh, that's probably because you don't have a heart. You've got like a beating gizzard. Replaying Baldur's Gate 3. I was a child playing No Russian Mission in Modern Warfare 2. Sean is like me. I never liked robbing or hurting civilians, especially women. Dude, yeah, I remember when that was a thing.
If it helps, Logan, I've never done that either,
In
unless
real
the game
life.
prompted me to.
In real life, let's clarify. If they announce Spider-Man 3 on PS5, I'm done with the PlayStation. I'll be skipping to the PS6.
Why?
I have no issue mugging people outside of GameStop tomorrow. Okay. Thanks, Nintendo, for the 100 MSRP games has now been unlocked. GTA 6 will be.
You guys are gonna kill my heart. Literally, I am scared. Like, you guys have legitimately like no idea how afraid I am of not being able to get this on day.
You're gonna get this. Look, if you don't get it tonight, you can go to your GameStop tomorrow, and your friend or your lady that said you can stand in line, they're gonna have plenty of copies.
They said that they'd have plenty.
Yeah. So you hold her accountable. You call her every day if they don't have any copies. And you're like, hey, you remember what you told me, you liar?
Yeah, and no one's going to want it. You live in the middle of nowhere. Oh, you live in the Bay Area. That's all right.
Josh, why are you giving this man anxiety? That's for making us feel like crap and old earlier when you were like, I was in kindergarten when Sinestro Core War ended, you bastard.
The way I know I'm getting older is that, like, to me, the Switch 2 release is like not that big of a deal. Like, it's like, cool, there's a new console coming out. I'll get it when I can, you know. I remember those days, Dom. I was that kid, man. When the PS3 came out, I would have done anything. I would have sold my soul. I would have run over old ladies in cars. I would have done anything to get a PS3. Luckily, I didn't have to do anything.
That's crazy.
I remember my friend Rob and Sean worked at it was EB Games before they merged with GameStop, and the other one was Funko Land.
Yeah.
And now Sean works at Sony, and Rob works at Gun Studios. But dude, both of these assholes would get video game consoles because they worked at these places, and they would work the system. They would end up with like 5 of these consoles, no matter what it was, whether it was the PlayStation 1 or the Dreamcast or the what was the big one that came out? The PS2 was hard to find too. And they were like selling these things out of the trunk of their car like drug dealers. And I was like, y'all the nerdiest freaking drug dealers. Like, and they'd always have buyers, man, paying like twice as much for these consoles. I think the last time they did it was with the Wii, like when the original
That-
Wii. No.
The original Wii is the last thing I stood in line for. I did stand in line in GameStop to get the Wii.
That's crazy.
Dude, you're speaking. You're speaking. I'm playing Lunar right now because I love those games, girl. Like the Sega CD games and then the PlayStation ones. But Breath of Fire, oh, dude, Breath of Fire was so good. It had some awesome freaking like music, and it had Chun-Li in the first one. Who's running over old ladies? Oh, that was Sean.
If I have to, man, to get that PS3, I would have done it.
I never modded my original PlayStation. I did the twisty tie trick where you kept it in the back, you kept the lid open. I have a philosophy of if I didn't care for the first Switch, I'm not gonna get the Switch 2. It's a good philosophy. I will save you money.
It saves you money. I'm unfortunately not that way.
You don't have to get the Switch 3.
They're gonna kill you.
Which they will rarely limit. You'll be put on a list and wait your turn. Triple hope.
Is this an online thing, or you have to be there physically?
No, it's an online thing. And right now, like that's what I was just telling Dom. Like my stupid Best Buy app was crashing because everybody's on it trying to get these things. So it's available at like Walmart, Best Buy, Target, and there's a Newegg and Sam's Club.
But you can't get it on Amazon.
You cannot.
They are beefing with Nintendo right now.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, that's been going on for a while though, and that's just what happens.
Where
you
is the glowing
games.
biglet?
I don't really play games as much, man. I literally just started playing it like 3 days ago because I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and spend 20 minutes of my day playing this video game like a responsible old man. And I read comics for a living.
Just put 20 minutes in a day and get myself back into it.
Yeah, man, and I forgot just how much fun it is, like to get lost in the game. Like that's what I was just telling my daughter was sitting watching me, and she was on her phone. I'm like, put that damn phone up and watch your father play video games. Oh, the Best Buy website is working. The app. I just texted you the different links. So you got all the
actually should get off and try to see. Because the thing with pre-ordering in stores is that you can decide to put a minimum deposit, so I don't have to worry about paying it now, which is what I'm thinking is going to be the smart move for me doing tomorrow. Get some breakfast. There was a new Chick-fil-A that opened not too long ago.
I love this.
Nice.
Get a Chick-fil-A biscuit. Wait in line. A friend of mine, actually, I had lunch with him yesterday, and he said that he would be willing to wait with me.
That's a good friend. That's a good friend.
Then you can go back to Chick-fil-A and get the peach milkshake for him and you and bring it back in line. That is perfect.
That's right. No, that's a good strategy. It's just the most I've stressed out like this was when the 3DS came out. That was the last time that I think I actually like waited and like with my parents, obviously. I got that on day one, and I still got my 3DS is in my backpack. I've been playing Pokemon X on it for the last like 2 months.
Yeah.
I just, there's something about Mario that like is just so special to me that I legitimately do feel like I missed out on years of memories by not getting the Switch 1. So this is why the Switch 2 pre-order is important to me.
Have they released a list of games that are compatible that are with the Switch 1? Are they all? I know they were all supposed to be compatible, but with every console release, whenever they do this dual compatibility, I'm sure there's things that are messed up.
Mm-hmm.
What's everyone's favorite comic film adaptation?
Ooh, good question.
Captain America: Civil War. I think that is so much better than the comic. It's amazing.
Ooh. You know what? I'll say Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's a good one.
Great.
So this question is basically what's our favorite comic book movie? Yeah.
Tyler Steele. Sin City's a good one. Sin City's a really good one.
Oh yeah, Sin City's really good.
I actually didn't mind watching. People hated
I
watching
love it.
I
love that movie.
Good movie.
Yeah. So I mean, Superman that's coming out this summer, is it too soon for me to say that's my favorite? Because I know I'm going to love it.
Well, what if it sucks, Jess?
It won't. It's not crypto, dude.
I like the.
It does. I like the enthusiasm, Jess, but then remember X-Men: Last Stand.
You know what though? You know what? You're
Don't
absolutely
finish that
right.
thought, Sean.
Mhm.
Don't
That
finish
trailer-
that thought, Sean.
No. The trailer was a trap because the trailer looked awesome, and then you get to that movie theater. That movie, look, I can defend that movie if we were going to sit here and get down to it, but I have one critical problem with it, and it's the opening scene. Well, it's the scene where the mutants are fighting in the danger room and
Yeah.
they're fighting a sentinel. And
Oh,
the
you
only-
thought you were going to see that in the theater.
I thought we were going to see a real sentinel. We saw a fucking sentinel head. I wanted to leave the theater.
No, we saw Cyclops get killed off screen. Ben Affleck, Daredevil. Is this the real Kevin Smith? Because I feel
Wouldn't that be great?
has never commented on any of my videos, but just has to plug his buddy Ben.
The Dark Knight, by the way, is my answer.
Ooh. Ooh.
It's a good one.
I was going to say Winter Soldier, but it might be Dark Knight. It might be.
Infinity War is solid too, man.
Gosh, Dark Knight was so good. Winter Soldier, though.
Yeah, Winter Soldier was. Holy crap! How did the guys at Direct Community make that movie? What the hell? Like,
Yeah, Dark Knight. That was such a.
it's killer.
Ooh, that,
Good one.
yeah, that's hard to argue against.
All right, we're gonna stay on for 5 more minutes, so then Dom can have 15 minutes.
Yay! Let's go!
I'm not gonna make you wait, Dom. That would be wrong. I got angry for seeing Galactus and oh my god, I fell asleep. I still haven't seen it. Amanda and I have not done. Was it really that bad on Rise of the Silver Surfer? Right.
Yep.
The best comic book movies are the ones in Cleveland. How is Harvey Picar's Ghost not naming American Splendor as the best comic book adaptation?
That was great.
Fire yourself, Harvey Picar. It's Ghost. I think Finn Jones deserves a second chance at Iron Fist.
Whoa.
No.
Whoa. What the fuck? I just took mental damage by reading that.
What's happening with your all's choices, fantastic?
Oh, chat. Wow.
Marvel trying to recreate the Winter Soldier's greatness to this day and failing. It's hard to recreate. It's hard to recapture that magic. And honestly, the Russo brothers, as people have stated, haven't done great movies either. Like that Electric State. What was the other movie that Lars mentioned? They did another one for Netflix. The Gray Man. Gray Man, right? We're just okay. They're not the MCU type of movie. So I hope the ones like Doomsday and the other one that they're doing.
Secret
Dom,
Wars.
what are you doing, Dom? Just out of curiosity, are you putting Pokemon stickers on your Pokemon?
This is how anxious I am, Omar.
It's okay. I was just curious what you were doing.
Yeah, I got this is Persian. This is the evolved form of Meowth. I don't know if people can see that. But,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, man. I love Persian. I almost lost to one in Ultra Moon for Pokemon on the 3DS. So kudos to the trainer. Anyways, go ahead.
Awesome. Is that a thing that you all give each other stickers? Like, hey, you lost to me, fool. Now you get the sticker.
Yeah, I've just been fidgeting with the sticker book that my friend gave me, and I found that it's been good for stress relief. Even if my mind is racing a billion times forward, it feels like I can focus on something that isn't your world is going to end if you don't get this console.
Oh gosh, poor Dom.
I'm so sorry, guys.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Everything. Chicks dig Pokemon stickers. I know if Harvey Picar's Ghost knows what chicks dig. All right, and on that note, before Dom has a panic attack on the stream, Dom, where can people find you when you're not stressing out about getting the Switch 2, my friend?
If I'm not, you can obviously find me on this channel where I will be doing the overview of the Superman Family DC Finest trade paperback after I run through more of the stories. You can also find me on my own channel at Dom of X, where I have a video uploading, a couple videos actually uploading soon. I've been in the lab trying to get some more work done there. Also, comicreleases.com. Some of the books here we talked about, hey, like these books are in singles. I know that Sean has talked about a lot of those. We have a long running list of literally every single collected edition up till January 2026. So if you are into collected editions and want a free to use spreadsheet, check us out there at comicreleases.com.
Wow. All right. And Sean, my friend, where can people find you?
So, thank you guys. This has been an incredible stream. I really appreciate everybody's support.
Dude, I'm glad
guys
you
in the
were
chat.
able to make it, brother. So,
Thank you for having me as always. I really, really love being here. You guys can find me on the Comics Pals channel live Thursdays at 6 p.m. for Pals Pulls. That's where we review comics. And to give you guys a sneak preview of what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be reviewing Batman 159. That's Hush issue 2, Absolute Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, Amazing Spider-Man, One World Under Doom. We're going to be talking about all those books Thursday at 6 p.m. And then Saturday at 10:15 a.m. we'll be live as well. Hope to see you guys there.
all right. And the man who just learned the term Snow Bunny. Omni Dog, where can people find you, my friend, when you're not looking up Snow Bunny movies on the internet?
You can find me on Omni Dog's Vault, where Dom will be live Saturday night and hopefully celebrating his Switch when we have live essential collected editions. And then I thought we were going to be talking about Howard Stern when Sean appears on my show May 17th, but obviously Snow Bunnies is going to be the headliner.
Listen, we're going to go all over the place. Howard Stern, Snow Bunnies, you don't know what's next. When you and I get together, it's going to be an explosion.
It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Talk about everything you want to talk about. It's going to be great.
Love it.
And I am the Uncanny Omar. I will be here every day, sometimes a couple times a day. And I think the next live stream is Saturday, and then Monday. Am I doing a live stream?
No.
Oh yeah, we're kicking off the Most Wanted Marvel Omnis. That's on Monday at 6 p.m. And then Tuesday we're interviewing Kelly Thompson. Dominator.
Yeah.
So
Weird.
we're giving away a couple of books too. If you live in Canada, if you live in the EU, and if you live in America. So make sure you tune into that. That will be at, is it at 6, Dom? Oh my God.
It will be at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We will be talking to Kelly
4
Thompson
p.m.
about...
Eastern time? Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm 100% sure about that.
Hey,
One or
check. Okay, 4 p.m. Eastern time on
4
Tuesday.
to talk about this little cutie and all of the other epic books that Kelly Thompson is putting out.
Nice, Kelly Thompson. Yes, she's great. Love her. So I've interviewed her before. Dom's interviewed her before. So Reprint poll will be Friday. Make sure you come back Friday, probably early Thursday if you're on Patreon. That's it, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Hit that like button on the way out. Stay healthy and safe. And thank you again to my wonderful panel. Good luck,
Thank you
Dom.
for having us on.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
guys.
All the time. All right, let's get